Okay, we're live now.
Okay, so we're here today basically to talk about Leon Trotsky and what he was doing in New York City, maybe some points about him in Vienna, but this is a particular quote from his book, My Life, The Rise and Fall of a Dictator. It's on pages 124 through 127. And it says, and it seems Trotsky too was a fan of the Freemasons, the Illuminati, and the Carbonari. It says, quote, this is from Trotsky. He says, it was during that period that I became interested in Freemasonry. In the 18th century, Freemasonry became expressive of a militant policy of enlightenment, as in the case of the Illuminati, who were the forerunners of the revolution. On its left, it culminated in the Carbonari. Freemasons counted among their members both Louis XVI and Dr. Guillotine, who invented the guillotine. In southern Germany, Freemasonry assumed an openly revolutionary character, whereas the court of Catherine the Great, it was masquerade reflecting the aristocratic and bureaucratic hierarchy. A Freemason, Novikov was exiled to Siberia by the Freemason Empress. I discontinued my work on Freemasonry to take up the study of Marxian economics. The work on Freemasonry acted as a sort of test for these hypotheses. I think this influenced the whole course of my intellectual development. So we see there, like, he's looking to the Illuminati in the French Revolution as how these ideas would work out in practice. And I know in Oleg Plantanov's book, Russia's Crown of Thorns, they talk about how the Bolsheviks were exchanging information with the Grand Orient of France, and other Grand Lodges. They were exchanging information about the French Revolution as it compared to the Russian Revolution that they had just uh, succeeded in. So that's pretty interesting. But this documentary kind of goes over Trotsky in New York City. So let's skip ahead a little bit. Let's go here.
I can't see anything on the screen.
Really?
Oh, there it goes. Yeah, yeah, there it
Oh,
goes. Yeah, now I can see it. But you
you
got a
can see
full
it now?
screen. Yeah. Oh no, wait. Yeah, when you full screen, we can't see it.
Why?
Oh wait, no, do it again.
What is happening?
Yeah, I don't know why that happens. Neuro, you know what I'm talking about? I don't think he's there, but yeah. Yeah, maybe just like
I know what you're talking about, but it's coming from his computer, so I don't know what's happening with it. I think it's like some setting on his thing.
maybe just share the
So I think if
tab.
you like,
Just share the tab and not the whole entire screen. You
yeah,
saying right?
yeah,
Try
that's what I
that.
told him to do. I don't know. I don't think he knows how to, or it doesn't allow on Mac.
Yeah,
So maybe
exit. Yeah, yeah,
What are you
exit out of
asking
the
me to do?
yeah,
What are
exit
you
out of
asking
the
me to do?
share screen and then click share tab and share just that tab instead of the entire screen.
Well, that's what I did.
I think you shared the whole browser though. So I think you could
Yeah,
choose
you're
like the
sharing your
browser or
entire
share
the.
screen. Okay, so now that I'm at share
no, not
screen.
share screen, share tab.
Well, there's only share window and share screen.
Yeah, so share a window. Yeah, so
All
click
right.
share a window instead of share screen.
Yeah,
All
And
right.
then just
then it
click on
should.
the tab with the Jory Lena documentary.
Yeah. Or maybe like if you can drag that tab out as a separate window, that's usually what I do is I just drag one tab out and create a new window and then leave the other windows on the other browsers. That way you have like two browsers open. You have like one just for presenting and then you have one for like your StreamYard and all that shit. That way you don't have to like get it cross mixed up because it'll affect the visuals like what machine saw. I didn't really
Well, this
notice
is so
before,
what's
but
so weird is like I can't share anything now. Like now it's just like blue. Um, it's like blue or something. Like when I Okay, share this window. Okay,
What
right.
you are using Safari?
I don't
No,
know
just
what
look
I've
in the
done.
backstage. You should have shared it, right? You shared it, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if I did it correctly. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, just look in the backstage. Neuro should come up there. Yeah, we got this. Yeah, now just full screen this.
Now
Oh,
are we
still
good?
doing it. No.
Yeah,
Fuck.
if you if
I
you
guess we'll
full
just have
screen
to
it,
watch it on the small window there. But yeah, if you could like,
yeah,
I don't know how that's. Maybe
it's
maybe
it's
click
probably
the other
Safari.
full screen that's inside of like you see how there's a four full screen thing there that's on the top corner.
This one?
Yeah. No, that still didn't work. Yeah.
I don't know. All right, it's all right. Well, whatever. You guys share something else because I can't get this working. And I
Just
don't know.
just pass me the link and I'll share that thing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah. Yeah. Just throw me the link.
All right. Let me see. What I like.
Cause it grays out when you're trying to full screen it for some reason.
All right. I'm gonna send you this private in a private message. So,
All right.
yeah, I don't know what the problem is. I still gotta
I
figure
think it's
out the ins and
I
outs.
yeah, I think it's because of the browser. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably the browser for it's probably Safari. If you're using Safari, Safari might not link to it.
So, what's the
Safari is
better program to
Safari is very
use?
sensitive. I use Chrome when I'm sharing screen because
Okay,
like
all
Yeah,
right,
same
Safari is
here.
pretty.
Yeah.
all right. Well, I'll
Yeah,
download
because
Chrome then.
Safari is like overprotective of your data, so like it won't let you do a lot of things that Chrome will. You know what I mean? So that's why I do it. And Montana chat, she's trying to say like you know try F11, so like you can try to full screen it, and then F11 it should like not hide it because Mac is very peculiar in general, but then Safari in particular is when you're trying to share a screen, it's like it used to not let me do certain things on Safari on my phone when I was on StreamYard. So because I guess StreamYard's like very invasive or something. So just let you know. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just throw me the link, Holmes. I got you. Because in the meantime, you could just do this thing.
You're Trotskyist. No, I've noticed like I was uh telling Unseen and I told you the other day, Machine. It's like every time you bring up Trotsky to like communist people, they get really nervous or something. It's pretty interesting. Like
Right.
they get very defensive. You know, I don't know. I just that's just something I've been like. I never really talked to communists like that, but I noticed like people who call themselves communists, if you go on panel and start talking about Trotsky, they get like very strange. Like they kind of like break character and they start getting really defensive. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. Like,
I sent you the link already, by the way. I sent it to your
Oh, you're
Discord.
talking about on
Yes, Discord.
okay. So let me go there then. Okay, hold on.
the Trotskyist. So what's this? What's this thing about? It says like I saw something about Hermes. So it's like Hermes.
In the shadow of Hermes, which is like I think he's connecting
Trismegistus.
Oh.
uh paganism with Marxism, you know, or
All
communism.
right, here it comes. This is the thing. Yeah, you see it?
There, you got to present.
Yeah, I already did. Yeah, Neuro, you see that? All right, here we go.
Yeah, my bad. I got it there.
See, I wish I could have
I'm gonna
done
put an
that.
extra link in the back.
Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah, I
learn
think
how
it's
to do
just
that.
Chrome. Download Chrome and Chrome.
Yeah, I got it downloaded now.
Yeah. It'll just make it a lot easier for sure. And I'm just gonna put an extra link in the back, so like, if you guys want to, if you guys get through this one and you want to share something else, like, I think it would be very interesting for you guys. But we'll just put it in the back for later.
All right.
It's from Restoration of the Breach.
Oh, that dude. Wow. Now, if you want to, you could skip ahead a little bit, but if you don't, you can let it ride. It's the same thing. Because all we're trying to get to is Lena discussing the time period that Leo Trotsky was in New York City and what he was actually doing there and what they were training him to do. So it's very early on this, maybe 10 minutes, something like that. Yeah.
För omstörtande verksamhet. Han tillhörde. Frimuraren Winston Churchill bekräftade automatisk hiss och till och med ett sopnedkast.
Just talking about his apartment.
Till hans och familjens förfogande stod gratis limousin med chaufför. Min enda syssla som fattig frimurarbroder började Trotsky genast tigga om resurser till sin ökänd under namnet
Trotsky.
This is the beginning of it. Han hade hela sin familj med sig. Den 8 januari 1917 anlände det spanska passagerarfartyget Montserrat till Ellis Island i New York. Ombord befann sig den internationella revolutionären Leiva Bronstein, ökänd under namnet Lev Trotsky. Han hade hela sin familj med sig. Trotsky hade börjat sin resa i Barcelona i Spanien den 25 december 1916.
So he's in Spain.
Han åkte i första klass.
And he goes, so he's traveling 1916. That's a year before the Russian Revolution. First class, not third, as he indicates in his memoirs. So, I mean, off top, he's indicating in his memoirs he was riding first class and had nice things at a time where people just didn't have nice things, man. These bankers had him set up, dude.
Inte i tredje som han antyder i sina memoarer. Trotskys resehandlingar finns bevarade i Migrationsverkets arkiv och talar sitt tydliga språk. I andra arkiv finns bevarad en inbjudan till Amerika, vilken kan spåras till hans frimurarbroder Jacob Schiff, rysshatare och ordförande för bankhuset Kuhn, Loeb & Company på Wall Street i New York. Det var Jacob Schiff som redan år 1890 hade börjat anordna och finansiera kurser för internationella revolutionärer från Ryssland.
And Schiff, he was like
Benajbrit.
The Rothschilds guy in America. So basically Rothschild money went through the Cohen Loan Company. And they washed it that way because the majority of people thought the Rothschilds had no hand in America's banking, and that was not true. They just used another name and somebody that could do their bidding for them, which was Schiff. You can read about that and dare not call it a conspiracy. And Eustace Mullins also has a history of this in his book World Order.
Hade börjat anordna och finansiera kurser för internationella revolutionärer från Ryssland. Benajbrit, förbundets söner, planlade undervisningen vid dessa kurser. Samma orden spelade en aktiv roll i den så kallade revolutionen år 1905. Åren 1900 till 1902 hade han låtit i USA utbilda 10 000 revolutionärer från Ryssland. Deras uppgift var att krossa tsarryssland. Han hjälpte till att finansiera den misslyckade statskuppen år 1905. Som fattig frimurarbroder började Trotsky genast tigga om resurser till sitt förstörelseuppdrag i Ryssland.
Trotsky bodde på det luxuösa hotell Astor vid Times Square.
Sedan betalade Jacob Schiff för hans lyxbostad på Vice Avenue nummer 1522 i stadsdelen Bronx 3 månader i förskott. Trotsky själv medgav i sina memoarer att hans arbetarbostad hade elektriskt ljus, gasspis, badrum.
Because at that time it was viewed like the communists should have minimalist things, you know what I mean? They shouldn't have very nice things. They should live in, you know, just an all white apartment with one picture on the, you know, wall or something. And as you see what he's pointing out here, he's like he had electric lights, a gas cooking range, bath, telephone, automated a service elevator, and he had a limo that drove him around. So much for being like this humble, you know, worker, communist workers guy that was for the good of the people or something, you know. It's not a joke.
Telefon, automatisk hiss och till och med ett sopnedkast. Till hans och familjens förfogande stod gratis limousin med chaufför. Min enda sysselsättning i New York var som revolutionär socialist, berättade Trotsky senare. Han började skriva artiklar för en betydelselös marxistisk tidning, Novi Mir, den nya världen, på redaktionen som låg på St. Mark's Place nummer 77 i East Village. Arbetade bland andra Nikolaj Bukharin och Moisej Goldstein, vars revolutionära namn var Valadarski. Dessutom skrev han åt en jiddischspråkig marxistisk dagstidning, Der Vorwärts. Trotsky höll också föredrag för emigranter från Ryssland och föreläste på East Villages Russian Free University på Östra 7:e gatan. I januari 1917 fick Trotsky kontakt med frimurarorden B'nai B'rith, som redan tidigare hjälpt revolutionärer i Ryssland. Den som ombesörjde kontakterna mellan den revolutionära rörelsen i Ryssland och B'nai B'rith var Jacob Schiff. Leiba Bronstein hade tidigare blivit medlem i den franska frimurarlogen Aria Pulse.
The B'nai B'rith, what is the B'nai B'rith? So like we talked about earlier was that after Adam Weishaupt's Illuminati sort of like supposedly dispensates or something, which they had always had sort of a close relationship with the Rothschilds, Weishaupt did. It would later pop up, the Illuminati, what was known as the Illuminati, would later pop up as B'nai B'rith. And that's exactly what we see Trotsky joining with this Jacob Schiff person, you know? So that's a very interesting connection. And it's like, it takes the topic of the Illuminati and it takes it out of the realm of conspiracy and it gives it tangibility to where it says, okay, we know who this organization was, where it led to, who was backing it, and what purpose did it serve, right? Training up 10,000 revolutionaries to overthrow Russia. That's insane. And, you know, people are afraid to use the term Illuminati, but that's the term that was used in the French Revolution. And it's the same term that these men followed. So.
Och B'nai B'rith var Jacob Schiff. Leiba Bronstein hade tidigare blivit medlem i den franska frimurarlogen Art et Travail, som även Lenin tillhörde. Frimuraren Winston Churchill bekräftade år 1920 att Trotsky även var illuminat. Ur 33 gradens hemliga invigning kan man läsa.
Frimureriet är ingenting mer och ingenting mindre än revolutionen i verksamhet. Den oavbrutet fortgående sammansvärjningen.
Därför är det inte underligt att Leiba Bronstein redan år 1898 hade börjat på allvar studera frimureriet och de hemliga samfundens historia, medan han under nästan 2 år satt fängslad i Adjessa för omstörtande verksamhet. Han gjorde 1000 sidor anteckningar. Till bolsjevismen kom Trotsky genom sitt studium av frimureriet, uppger Internationales Freimaurerlexikon. Trotsky själv skrev i sina memoarer Mitt liv.
Det var under denna period som jag blev intresserad av frimurarna. Under flera månader studerade jag ivrigt böcker om deras historia. Böcker som jag fick av släktingar och vänner i staden. Varför hade köpmän, konstnärer, bankirer, ämbetsmän och advokater sedan början av 1600-talet börjat kalla sig frimurare och försökt återskapa de medeltida gillenas riter? Vad handlade denna märkliga maskerad om? Gradvis klarnade bilden. Bland vissa delar av frimurarna fanns det tydliga element av reaktionär feudalism, som i det skotska systemet. På 1700-talet gav frimurarna uttryck för en stridbar upplysningspolitik, som i fallet Illuminati, revolutionära föregångare.
Ja.
På sin vänsterkant nådde den sin kulmen i karbonarerna. Jag skrev med små bokstäver utdrag ur många böcker, blandat med mina egna reflektioner om frimureriet.
Hey, that's fascinating, isn't it? You still there?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, it's fascinating, right? Like, when I first
Yeah,
watched
me
this,
too.
it was so heavy.
I just can't read the screen too close because it's really small on my screen. But
Yeah, I'll try to, like,
what was the
break it
gist
down a
of
little bit. The gist of it is that, Trotsky was studying the Freemasonry of the French
Right.
Revolution. He came to terms with the fact that, Freemasonry is a revolutionary expression of carrying Enlightenment thought or something. And I think he's seen himself as a part of that tradition, and he wanted to become a part of it even more. And that was what his studies were. He spent a couple years in prison, it said, in Odessa, didn't it? So it spent like 2 years in prison studying Freemasonry. He gets out, as we read from the earlier quote, he starts studying Marxian economics. So he adds these two systems, and then he's getting paid off by Schiff to be a Russian revolutionary, later down the road. He's training
when
himself basically in New York.
when you think about people like this, because I think that's interesting, and I want to ask Machine what he thinks about the whole Illuminati to B'nai B'rith pipeline. But what do you think motivates someone like that to have this extreme motivation? Like, you go to prison, you're like, I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna study more, I'm gonna double down more. Like, where do you think that willpower comes from? But because to me it just seems extremely demonic. Like, you just you know what I mean? Like, you go fight a war, I'm gonna get more demonic. I'm gonna learn more about this shit. I'm it's I don't know. It's pretty, it's hard for me to imagine where the willpower for someone like that.
You'd have to look at Marx, I would say. That's my perspective on it. Is looking at Marx and his mentality. And his mentality was that the world had done him wrong, and he was this great genius, and he deserved all the riches that, someone like the Tsar had. It's an envy thing, and it's a greed thing, and it's like, I want to flip the whole entire world upside down because, I don't like the hand that I was dealt. So, since I'm full of greed and hate and all these things, then I'm willing to do anything to get what I want out of life. And that's what they did. The Bolsheviks, they talked a big game, and you have people to this very day that, repeat the little slogans they said as if they were some heroes or something to look up to, as these people pillaged every bit of resources that they could, and they had, you know, a license to kill from the bankers to do it. You know what I mean? They were being funded by these bankers to accomplish, you know, industrializing Russia and you know, creating a system that would serve the banking system that they
You
were
think
working
it's
for.
do you think that it's like, do you think that people like Marx and Trotsky went to like this like indoctrination center, like synagogue or something, where they just get like totally like programmed and mind controlled, like you
No, I think
are the
it's like a
Messiah of
willing.
this or whatever.
I think it's a willing interest. Like if you read Trotsky, it seems like he was going out of his way um to discover things that are associated with revolution. Like he had a lawless spirit about him, and Lenin and all the Bolsheviks in general had this same kind of lawless spirit that's coming right out of the Enlightenment. They're looking to the Illuminati as you know, former heroes in a revolutionary line of tradition that they were going to follow that same line of thinking. I think that they were trained because it says so, that Schiff had trained 10,000 men. You know, he's paid off, he's in his own apartment. Absolutely. He was indoctrinated. But it wasn't like brainwashing in the sense that the guy didn't know what was going on or something. You know, I believe he knew every step of the way what was going on, and he agreed with it because he was that, you know, lawlessly and satanically orientated. And it's rooted in greed. That's it. Like jealousy and greed, pretty much.
So there's a lot going on with this, and but first I'll ask Machine. It's like I'm just trying to like speak out loud because I'm gonna forget my point.
You're good.
But so really quick, I just want to say it's like, okay, so Machine, what do you think about the Benacarit Illuminati pipeline? Do you think that's do you see any evidence of that in your research?
Yeah, sorry, my bad. I was on the other side of this this thing over here, so I had to like scoot on over here. But yeah, the thing is yeah, there's a huge link because you know, as we discussed, right, Mark's you know, dad was a Freemason, and they were actually related to the Rothschilds, right? So so they were related. So Kuhn and Loeb is basically the Rothschild banking institution or whatever, right? So
For
it's
America.
right,
Yeah.
in America, right? So the thing is like, right, you know, Bakunin wrote that Marx was funded by the Rothschilds, right? So it's just actually very interesting because Marx not only went to London, right, like where Lionel de Rothschild was an MP, but then he also like almost got a job in New York, right? So similar to Lenin, he almost went to New York, right, to go study over there. And what's also interesting is that Marx and Hegel, they both have sort of you know, borrowed from you know, Hermeticism, you know, Gnosticism, Freemasonry, the Kabbalah, all those different systems of thought, right? They pretty much understood and wrote about those different ideas. And then if you go to the 15th century, right, you have two key events, right? You have like Luther, but you also have the Lurianic Kabbalah, right? So the Lurianic Kabbalah was what the Sabbateans basically gravitated towards, right? So it's just pretty interesting that you know, the Lurianic Kabbalah was also what the Christian you know, Kabbalist you know, and the Quakers and all those people would like gravitate towards the Lurianic Kabbalah, right? So so it's just interesting that all these things had gotten started at around the same time, right?
So go ahead.
Yeah, it's just interesting because in you know, Europe you have, you know, in the 15th century, you know, Luther, you have the founding of Hasidic Judaism, right? You have the Lurianic Kabbalah, right? And then in the 1600s, you have the Sabbateans, right? And then in the 1700s, right, you have Weishaupt and all these people, right? So it's just pretty interesting, right? There's a clear trajectory.
So did you guys see the clip? So there's a few things last because of the point, so I just wanted to say them really quick. Did you guys see the clip of Tyre that I sent you, the different ones of like Southern Israelite, where he's like the Anglo-American establishment, and he's like, well,
Yeah.
you can't really
Yeah, I
say
saw that.
after 1965 that after 1965 the Anglo-American establishment obviously wasn't being run by like Anglos, right? So
Right.
right, and I think that that's a good argument, although like I think there's some missing pieces to that, but like I mentioned that because I've seen this other thing where people that don't like this Trotskyist Nazi stuff, like the white nationalists, they say, well, the white nationalists are scared of Russia. And then, like, Trump came out yesterday or the day before, and I didn't see this on American news, but I guess he was like standing next to Benjamin Netanyahu, and he's like, "Oh, Ukraine did a drone attack on Putin, and Putin called me to tell me about it." And I just found that like it's like there's some sort of weird meta narrative about like the neo-Nazi white supremacist people are scared of like the Russians for some reason. It's really weird because like I see the opposite of that, right? So I don't know what's going on, but it's like, and I think that's what the ortho bros are like. Maybe they're shifting the narrative to like cover up that they're like
They are
neo-Nazis or something is really weird.
no.
Like it's like
So
a
the
really strange
Ukrainians, the
shit
the
going
ones
on.
in
Yeah.
Ukrainian, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Okay, I was just making sure. So the Ukrainians seem to be more aligned with National Socialism, whereas, of course, the Russians are, looking back to the golden days of Stalin and Lenin, and they still see, the communists as these great heroes for them. So I could see that dialectic with it, but really in reality, I think the Hobotniks are pitting them against each other using those narratives. And like what you're talking about, Father John Whiteford recently it came out, and we had a long argument about this, and Joel kind of pointed it out. It's like they're putting all the focus on Ukraine and talking about the persecution of the Ukrainian church by the Ukrainian government, right? But then, like, you look deeply at this thing, it's like there's an oil pipeline where Putin is. I hate this thing. Unbelievable, man. What do you want? But yeah, so there's this great oil pipeline that's sending, hundreds of millions of dollars to the Ukrainians, or so-called Ukrainians, right? And it seems to be like what's really happening is they're pitting two groups against each other. And they benefit off of it, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to get at. Lost my train of thought.
What's the point of it all? I suppose it would be to combine a lot of the world religions into like one system by infiltrating all the world religions, right? So that would basically be a plot of
So
Freemasonry and all that type of stuff.
I got a book here called The Illuminati and the CFR by Myron Fagan. And he's got a chapter here, Revolution and Communism. He's got a former chapter where it's Jacob Schiff, Rothschild's agent. But in this, it's part 5 of Revolution and Communism. He says, if anybody still has even a remote doubt, the entire menace of communism was created by the masterminds of the Great Conspiracy right in our own city in New York. I will cite the following historical fact. All records show that when Lenin and Trotsky engineered the capture of Russia, they operated as heads of the Bolshevik Party. Now, Bolshevism is purely a Russian word. The masterminds realized that Bolshevism could not be sold as an ideology to any but the Russian people. So in April 1918, Jacob Schiff dispatched Colonel House to Moscow with orders to Lenin, Trotsky, and Stalin to change the name of their regime to the Communist Party and to adopt the Karl Marx, quote, manifesto as the constitution of the Communist Party. Lenin, Trotsky, and Stalin obeyed, and in that year of 1918, when the Communist Party and the menace of communism came into being, all this is confirmed in Webster's Colligate Dictionary, 5th edition. It says here, in short, communism was created by the capitalists. Thus, until the November of 11th, 1918, the entire fiendish plan of the conspirators worked perfectly. All the great nations, including the United States, were war-weary, devastated, and mourning their dead. Peace was the great universal desire. Thus, when it was proposed by Wilson to set up a, quote, League of Nations to ensure peace, all the great nations with no Russian czar to stand in their way jumped on that bandwagon without even stopping to read the fine print in that insurance policy. That is all but one, the United States, the very one that Schiff and his co-conspirators least expected would balk, and that was their one fatal mistake in the early plot. You see, when Schiff planted Woodrow Wilson in the White House, the conspirators assumed that they had the United States in the proverbial bag. Wilson had been perfectly built up as a great humanitarian. He supposedly became established as a godman with the American people. There were every reason for the conspirators to have believed that he would easily hornswoggle Congress into buying the League of Nations. Sight unseen, exactly as the Congress of 1945 bought the League of Nations, or United Nations. Sight unseen. But there was one man in Senate in 1918 who saw through the scheme just as the Russian Tsar did in 1814. He was a man of great political stature, almost as great as that of Teddy Roosevelt, and fully astute. He was highly respected and trusted by all the members of both the houses of Congress, by the American people. By the name of the great and patriotic American was Henry Cobot Lodge, not the phony of today who called himself Henry Cobot Lodge Jr. Until he was exposed, Lodge completely unmasked Wilson and kept the United States out of the League of Nations. But in this paper, it goes on to talk about B'nai B'rith being a continuation of, the Illuminati of the French Revolution, and the big connector here is Jacob Schiff being a Rothschild agent. I would say look into that.
Yeah, Warburg, Schiff, Henry Morgenthau, all these people, all connected to the formation of the Federal Reserve as well. And
Right. I had just posted about the Federal Reserve, I think yesterday on my Twitter, and this is a great quote I got here. Check this out. You'll dig on this. So it kind of connects with what we were just talking about. I think it's from Henry McCall's book, one of those books, because I've just been kind of skimming through that stuff. But here's what it says. It says this is Eustace Mullins actually. He says, quote, the unprecedented speed with which the Federal Reserve Act had been passed by Congress during what became known as the, quote, Christmas Massacre has one unforeseen aspect. Woodrow Wilson was taken unaware as he, like many others, had assured the bill would not come up for a vote until after Christmas. Now he refused to sign it because he objected to the provisions from the selection of Class B directors. William L. White relates in his biography of Bernard Baruch that Baruch, a principal contributor to Wilson's campaign fund, was stunned when he was informed that Wilson refused to sign the bill. He hurried to the White House and assured Wilson that this was a minor matter, which could be fixed up through, quote, administrative processes. The important thing was to get the Federal Reserve Act signed into law at once. With this reassurance, Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act of December 23, 1913. History proved on that day the Constitution ceased to be the governing covenant of the American people, and our liberties were handed over to a small group of international bankers.
Bam.
Yo, you see that? Two snakes, the seal of Solomon, you know?
And the other one looked like it was a sort of like inverted Jew star. It was still like, you know, it's like 3D version of one.
If you look closely, you can see where the swastika fits in and all that too, you know?
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah, I think it was like yeah, I think it was like Tex Mars or something like that, where he was like talking about like how like he started studying like like the history of Freemasonry because he saw like a Jew star next to a swastika.
Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I know if you look at Manly P. Hall's the first edition of the book, Lost Keys of Freemasonry, is on the archive. Around the border of the text on every single page on this book, The Lost Keys of Freemasonry, you see the Jewish star, the Star of David, or whatever you want to call it. Some call it the Star of Remphan. And then you see the swastika right next to it, like throughout this entire book. And what's even stranger is Manly P. Hall has a text where it shows the story of the three ruffians. And one ruffian is holding a hammer and the other is holding a sickle, which is the communist symbol. Like they're holding a hammer and a sickle. Then you got the book by Thomas Carr, who says that, operational masonry or something like that. I think it's like, something about the Masons using the swastika as a symbol in their rituals. So, and then I found out there is something from Tex Mars. He said, he quoted something. He was talking about how H-Man basically had Blavatsky's book by his bedside. And then he goes on to say that the Communist Party also, Lenin, Trotsky, Stalin, those people, they were fascinated with Blavatsky's The Secret Doctrine as well. So they were deeply interested in theosophy. So I think that's the main connection there. Something to do with the Thule Society being a form of controlled opposition against the communists. Both paid off by the oligarchs. That's what I see. But I'll be right back. I'm watching.
Frihetsgudinnan skänktes av de franska frimurarna, däribland Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi och Gustave Eiffel från orden Grand Orient de France till New Yorks frimurare år 1886. En mindre kopia uppfördes samma år på en konstgjord ö i Seinen i Paris. Statyn påstås föreställa den romerska gudinnan Libertas, men är egentligen illuminaternas skyddshelgon, den babyloniska drottningen Semiramis. I högra handen håller hon en fackla och i vänstra handen självständighetsförklaringen. Frihetsgudinnans symbol är också duvan Columbus. För allmänheten är facklan en frihetssymbol. För frimurarna betyder den kontroll och manipulation. Grundstenen lades av New Yorks stormästare William A. Brody den 8 augusti 1884 under magiska ritualer i närvaro av tusentals amerikanska frimurare. Frihetsgudinnan avtäcktes under skorpionens tecken den 28 oktober 1886, återigen inför tusentals frimurare. Vid sådana speciella ceremonier som vi ser också här vid Kapitolium i Washington använder de amerikanska frimurarna som alltid majs, vin och olja. vilket går tillbaka till 5:e Mosebokens krav på offergåvor. Frimurarna offrar dessa ting för att försäkra sig om välgång i framtiden. Ett symboliskt och uråldrigt sätt att välsigna viktiga projekt. Frimurarna är även mycket måna om att behålla sin ledande ställning i samhället även i framtiden. Stormästaren Adriano Lemmi i Rom förklarade på 1870-talet taktiken.
Frimureriet har till mål att bilda och leda den allmänna opinionen. De vill ha det inflytande på landets regering som bör tillkomma goda och mäktiga institutioner. Därför arbetar de på att placera sina egna ledare i den offentliga förvaltningen, i de lagstiftande församlingarna och på maktens högsta tinnar.
I samband med Rysslands nederlag i kriget med Japan 1904-1905 satte det internationella kapitalet igång en revolution i Sankt Petersburg. Huvudorganisatorn Alexander Parvus fick 2 miljoner pund från Japan för att organisera maktövertagandet i Ryssland. Man satsade totalt 50 miljoner dollar på revolutionen i Ryssland år 1905. Japan försåg revolutionärerna med vapen. Den revolutionära verksamheten samordnades av överste Motojiro Akashi, för detta militärattaché i Ryssland. För planeringen stod frimurarna. Den amerikanske bankiren och frimuraren Jacob Schiff såg till att inga banker fick låna pengar till Ryssland under kriget. Samtidigt stödde han revolutionära grupper i Ryssland. Det internationella kapitalet ville i Ryssland överta makten i arbetarnas namn. Bakom dessa aktioner låg bland andra hemliga sällskap B'nai Brit, vars högkvarter är beläget i Washington DC.
Yeah, like I was breaking it down. I was like, Hieronymus Bosch. It's pretty capturing image, pretty captivating imagery, I meant to say. But yeah. I also like the Statue of Liberty stuff. That's pretty interesting that they could just pimp us all out by putting that Statue of Liberty thing there. That's totally created by the Freemasons. The French Freemasons.
År 1905 fick terrorn en oanad omfattning. Fanatikerna började mörda urskillningslöst. Åren 1905 till 1906 dödades eller lemlästades 50 000 personer. I april 1906 utnämnde tsar Nikolaus II Piotr Stolypin till inrikesminister och snart därefter även till premiärminister. Stolypin fick med tiden slut på terrorn och revolutionen. Han hade inte någon annan utväg än att införa ståndrätter för att skrämma och bekämpa terroristerna. 35 000 revolutionärer flydde utomlands, först och främst till USA, som blev terroristernas fristad. Från och med juni 1907 hade Stolypin läget under kontroll. Landet började tillfriskna efter Parvus och Trotskys illdåd. Den 26 augusti 1906 utsatte frimurarradikalerna Stolypins hem för ett sprängattentat. Offren var besökare och militärer. 27 dödades, 40 skadades, däribland premiärministerns son. Hans dotter kastades av tryckvågen ut ur huset och blev halt för livet. Stolypins reformer var omfattande. Tidningarna fick publiceringsfrihet. Alla politiska partier blev tillåtna. Både armé och flotta moderniserades. Den brittiske ekonomen Bernard Paris medgav att 7-årsperioden 1907 till 1914 ur ekonomisk synvinkel utan tvivel måste anses ha varit den mest gynnsamma i hela den ryska historien.
So what did I miss?
Under denna period fick bönderna
he talked about like how they had like a failed revolution
In 1905.
Yeah, with this guy Peter Stolypin,
Mm.
and then they bombed his house, and then he like basically like put in wide-ranging reforms to the government,
Mm.
and then he modernized the government.
Peter
and
the
all this
Great.
stuff.
Is that what you're talking about? Or
It's saying Peter Stolypin.
oh, okay. All right. I know one of the czars did something like he might have been a Mason or something. And what's interesting about that is the view of the church was sort of like this guy could possibly be a Mason, or he might not be, but it's not as if the entire bloodline is tainted by Masonry. So someone could take over that wasn't a Mason later on down the road, and this would be an external yoke. It's only when the church starts bowing to the Masonic reforms that this has become problematic, and it becomes, Sergianism. But this is the development of what Sergianism would become. We're definitely seeing the roots of this, right? Developing from these people. And why this is important to the American people, I would say, is that Sergianism is at our doorstep. What happened in 1917 in Russia is happening today in America in ways we don't even know how to understand. And especially with the Ortho Bro movement, what we're seeing is we're seeing Stalin's church, the monster he created, reach our doorstep. Now it's trying to get the American people to be subservient to this antichrist church system. And that's why we have all these talking heads that are pushing it. And whether they know it or not, that's what's happening, So who's this guy? Dmitry Aronovich Mendeleev, a Russian chemist known for formulating the periodic law and creating a version of the periodic table of elements. He uses the periodic law. Okay. So who is he? What's he? Stolypin studied agriculture. His teacher. Entered government service, graduating in 1885. On tobacco growing in the south of Russia. All right. Crimean War. But yeah, so really what I guess I'm trying to point out is how do we got here today, and like what it is the communists had intended then, and what globalism is picking up from them, to continue this kind of Masonic plan, I don't know any other way to put it.
This is weird.
The Crimean War was fought between the Russian Empire and the alliance of the Ottoman Empire, the United Kingdom of Britain, Ireland, Kingdom of Sardinia, Piedmont. I've heard about this.
This is 10 years before this other event. I'm saying that this guy that the daughter that his second wife Natalia was the daughter of this prince guy who was the commanding general in this war. So that's what it's saying here. So, anyways, let's go back to the documentary. He's talking about Stolypin, how the Freemasons like blew up his house because he
wow, he wouldn't go along with the plan or whatever.
right.
Yeah.
3/4 av jorden i sin ägo. Ryssland producerade efter Stolypins reformer mer spannmål än USA, Kanada och Argentina tillsammans. 80% av världens linproduktion kom från Ryssland.
Wow.
Till slut producerade Ryssland 40% av världens spannmål och kallades därför världens kornbod. Frimurarledningen i Sankt Petersburg blev nervös.
Братья, в сентябре Столыпин выезжает в Киев на открытие памятника государю-императору Александру II. Удобный случай, господа. Надо убрать, да. Уберите. Поручим генералу Курлову разработать план физического устранения диктатора. Просим.
Я готов, господа. В ближайшее время вы получите такой план.
Прекрасно.
Yo, did you see the little
Den 14 september
the candle or whatever? It's like a Jewish candle. Whatever it's called. I forget what the thing is. But that's a
menorah.
Yeah, a menorah on the table. So like got these guys, the Masons, plotting on killing this guy with a menorah burning. It's crazy imagery.
1911, klockan 21, dök frimurarterroristen och polisagenten Mardekaj Bagrov upp framför Stolypin på operan i Kiev under mellanakten av Rimskij-Korsakovs tsar Saltan i närvaro av tsar Nikolaus II.
Dude, these guys are trying to just do whatever they can to kill this guy.
Yeah, like
He's
I read
crazy.
something about these secret societies, like their chief goal was the overthrow of all kings, and they would do like a toast, like cheering on like the murder and overthrow of all governments and kings in the world or something. So that seems to be the mentality.
Upp framför Stolypin på operan i Kiev under mellanakten av Rimskij-Korsakovs tsar Saltan i närvaro av tsar Nikolaus II.
So they were obviously trying to send a message.
Straight up.
They're like, look, this is what it is. Now, it's pretty impressive how they choreographed this film, I guess.
Yeah.
Stolypin sårades dödligt. 4 dagar senare avled han. Genom detta mord kunde de mörka krafterna göra slut på den ryska regeringens utredning av frimurarnas undergrävande och statsfientliga verksamhet. Totalt hade frimurarna 10 gånger försökt mörda Stolypin.
10 times, bro.
Den 11:e gången lyckades attentatet.
Yeah, that dude he is practically indestructible. I mean, they blew up his house. They wounded him, shot him, and
yeah, they would go at no end to get the job done. I mean, and you see it too. Like when I started reading, and what scares me is when I started reading about the propaganda the Masons were pushing against the Tsar especially about like Rasputin and his wife and all this stuff, to turn the Russian people against the Tsar. And then you watch History Channel and they're repeating talking points from the Marxists, or the Masons in Russia. It's like, why is our mainstream media, like a channel that covers history for us, pushing the Marxist belief or their talking points? That tripped me out, dude. Like, that'll scare you. And I sent emails to a couple of their journalists, like at the History Channel, because they were pushing things like this thing called Bloody Nicholas, how he was like a part of the pogroms or something like that.
Right.
And you look into that, and there was a Father Gapin or something like that. He was intentionally creating scenarios to make it appear that the Tsar was behind pogroms or whatever, right? And he wasn't. They had nothing to do with this stuff, and it was just like completely subverted by the media at that time. And now it's perpetuated by our historians.
Yeah, well, we all know the weird history with that. Where they try to have the protocols and the Tsar and try to blame anti-Semitism, Sergei Nilius, and all this stuff. Right?
Yeah,
Crazy shit.
right. Well,
Wild.
I think what Myron Fagan had brought up in that piece that I was just talking about. I mean, that's a big thing. Whereas the Soviets would say that they're fighting against the capitalists. In reality, it was the globalist capitalist bankers that put them in place. You know what I'm saying? And made sure that they thrived. This is something interesting. Schiff and his co-conspirators did set up the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, in 1909, and in
Yeah.
1938, he set up the Anti-Defamation League of
Yeah,
the B'nai B'rith.
actually, it was led by this guy Joel Spingarn, who is
Yeah.
also a Jayish fellow. So
Oh, wow.
so it's like, yeah, the NAACP was like, yeah, it was blacks and Jays.
Right, connected to Schiff, who was the Rothschilds, agent, in America, which is absurd, man. And that when I said that earlier, that the B'nai B'rith is a continuation of the Illuminati, I have something to back that up. I have to find it, right? But I don't remember who said that. It's something I have somewhere where somebody said that those exact words, and I'm pretty sure it's like Mullins or Henry McCall. It's somebody like that, I gotta figure it out, man.
Frimurarna började i december 1916 återigen agera mot Ryssland och den 8 mars 1917, den 23 februari enligt gamla stilen,
Bread
satte man igång
shortages.
oroligheterna som berodde på brödbrist, vilken framkallas av frimurarna. I verkligheten fanns det
You see what
gott
they
om
were
bröd.
doing? They were shorting the bread to blame it on the Tsarist government. Right? So that, this is a control of the unions, just in the same way the mob would control the unions here in the 70s and 80s or something. They were doing things to paint their political opponent as the reason behind shortages. This is how you manipulate a nation, man. And Mike Duncan's Revolution, I highly recommend it. Looking into Mike Duncan's Revolution, the Russian Revolution, where he breaks down Marx at the First International, how the oligarchs connect with this, and how they seen the workers' parties as a way to control the opposition, both sides. So they give you a hero and then they give you the enemy. It's Hegelian, right?
Yeah, Hegel the chump.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went over this Hegel stuff. It's totally I mean it's quasi dispensationalism or whatever.
You're right.
It's totally weird. So like that's what Marx used, and they had this utopian ideal that was actually modeled on Kant, because
Mhm.
Hegel was a huge proponent of Kant's philosophy, and Kant was just a straight up occultist who
Right.
studied Swedenborg, and Swedenborg had this concept like that we're gonna bring the kingdom of God and the New Jerusalem. They had this idea of New Jerusalem, in some of their writings.
I just downloaded a book. I think it was the other day, and it was talking about the Swedenborgs. I think it's this 51 documents, the Zionist colonization with the Nazis.
Hmm.
And in this document, let's see if I can find it, if it talks about it.
Swedenborg. They were Swedes.
Now, where were they from, like geographically? Where were the Swedenborgs from, and what's their deal?
It's like Kant and like William James and like all these people. Yeah, let me see.
It's not in this book, actually. So I wonder where I was reading that at, man. That's the problem. Like, if you study this type of subject, there's like an unlimited amount of information to find and cover, and it's hard to keep it in order, like to make it retainable for an audience. I think that's one of the harder things about sort of like lofty subjects is if you're not preparing your work to be digested, it's just not going to come across the way you want to.
Some interesting suggestions here, including New World Order, found in the Baha'i teachings, refers to a gradual emergence of integrative political norms to be freely adopted by nations and peoples of the earth. Kingdom of God. Jewish eschatology, city upon a hill, is a phrase derived from the teaching of salt and light in Jesus' Sermon on the Mount in the New Testament, originally applied to the city of Boston by early 17th century Puritans.
So, you know how we're talking about Manai and Barist? I just opened up the Macau book again, and it went straight to the point where it's covering Freud's part in Our Satanic Possession. That's the name of the chapter. And what he says is this is really interesting. He says Sigmund Freud's career illustrates how the Illuminati cast its satanic spell over humanity. And this is something a lot of people don't know. Tito, Lenin, Stalin, Hitler, Freud were all in Vienna at the same time. Did you know that, right? I sent you an article with that about talking about that. There's a Serbian writer who covers this. But there was in Vienna there was a Rothschild, like a Frankfurt kind of thing going on there. Like they had an offices there in Vienna. And my assumption is that these were all members of the same lodge that were all a part of B'nai B'rith within Vienna, connected with the Rothschild, this cult. So it goes on to say Sigmund Freud was a Sabbatean who sold his perverted Satanist beliefs to the world in the guise of science and medicine. The Illuminati-controlled media and education system held him as a great prophet. The Sabbateans indulged in every sexual perversion imaginable as a way of spitting in God's eyes. This is what Satanists do to thumb their nose at God. He covers some topics that I don't want to talk about, and then he says Freud and B'nai B'rith, Illuminati backers convinced the world that sexual desire is the primary motivation of human life and that sexual satisfaction is a universal panacea. He taught that repressing sexual urges is harmful and results in neurosis. So that's where that comes from. So this is a guy that's coming right out of B'nai B'rith. It goes on to say, after joining the Masonic Jewish B'nai B'rith in 1897, Freud's stillborn career became to have a meteoric rise. And I would say because they have the publishing houses. Psychology professor David Icke describes Freudian psychoanalysis as derivative of Lurianic Kabbalah and the Zohar. Lurianic Kabbalah is a 2nd century Gnostic formulation which was picked up by the Jewish heretic Sabbatai Zevi. Sigmund Freud and the Jewish mystical tradition, Beacon Press, Boston, 1958. The only, like I told you before, I don't believe Lurianic Kabbalah came from the 2nd century. And I think I could prove it came from the 13th, but they backtrack it. Freud discussed Kabbalah with a Rabbi Chaim Bolok in 1920. The rabbi told Professor Bakan that he saw books in Freud's study which identified him as a follower of Sabbatai Zevi, the Sabbatean founder. In a speech to the B'nai B'rith on his 7th birthday, Freud emphasized his Jewishness. He said he joined the Masonic Jewish Lodge because of, quote, many dark emotional forces that made, quote, Jews and Judaism irresistible. He was drawn to the, quote, the clear consciousness of our inner identity, the intimacy that comes from the same psychic structure. Buchan, page 305. So I would say a thorough study and a look into somebody like Freud will tell you a lot about someone like Trotsky, being that they're part of the same satanic cult,
А заговорщики, масоны назовем их, воспользовались перебоями в Петрограде с хлебным снабжением, хотя хлеба в России было тогда завались.
Den 12 mars genomfördes en statskupp kallad februarirevolutionen. Och 3 dagar senare, den 15 mars, tvingade frimurarna tsaren att abdikera under hot att hans familj i annat fall skulle dödas. Han befann sig då i Pskov. Han överlämnade tsarkronan till sin yngste bror Mikael. Men frimurarna blev rasande över att de inte riktigt lyckats förinta tsardömet på 3 dagar. Redan dagen därpå tvingade de bort även Mikael den andre från tronen. Deras mål var att krossa tsarriket. Frimuraren Pavel Miljukov, som blev utrikesminister i den provisoriska regeringen, medger i sina memoarer att februarikuppen var en frimurarkomplott. Den naiva allmänheten var överförtjust. Men när den nya frimurarregeringen inledde en omfattande terrorvåg mot de oppositionella stelnade deras leenden och ersattes av skräckslagna miner. Först dödade man 4 000 polismän. Folkhopar drog omkring liken på gatorna. Sedan dödades många officerare, däribland amiral von Viren. Förstördes flera monument. Kerensky såg till att brottslingarna släpptes fria. Enbart i Petrograd frigavs tiotusentals förbrytare. Detta skedde redan på kuppens andra dag. Även i andra städer öppnades fängelseportarna på vid gavel. Fullständig anarki rådde. Brottslingar plundrade förråd, butiker och järnvägsvagnar. Folk mördades och rånades. Alexander Kerensky var det ryska frimureriets högsta råds sekreterare och ledare för Grand Orient i Ryssland.
Что все они были членами, почти все были членами масонской ложи, тоже бесспорно. Значит, если можно назвать это масонским заговором.
Spåren och dokumenten leder oss återigen hit, till Grand Orients högkvarter i Paris. Våren 1917 fick den provisoriska regeringen $1 miljon som bistånd från Schiffs bank, Kuhn Loeb and Company. Bistånd kom även från andra banker. Jacob Schiff finansierade även Lev Trotsky att genomföra revolutionens andra fas.
Homie, like the Masonic provisional government that replaces the Tsar in Russia, this is before the Bolsheviks sort of take the provisional government out of those Masons' hands, is financed by Jacob Schiff. Now, here's what's interesting. A lot of people think like, oh, like the Bolsheviks went against the provisional government and they fought those Masons and they ended up betraying them. That's like sort of like a historical narrative that you often hear. But I found out with that Russia's Crown of Thorns book, that didn't happen at all. Actually, Trotsky and Lenin helped the provisional government under Kerensky get out of the country, and they set them up like in headquarters at the Grand Orient in France. So they didn't want the common people to understand that there was a connection between the Workers' Party, the Bolshevik Communist Party, and the Masons. So they did everything they could to make it appear as these two organizations were working for the same goal. You feel me?
Yeah.
So, like, that's why you'll see things, and I think it's the same thing with the Nazis. Like, you'll see things where it's like, well, why did the Nazis attack the Freemasons? Like, why did they do that? And it's like, did they really? And which Freemasons did they supposedly go after? And what's the internal context of this issue? Like, what's really happening behind the scenes of this? And more often than not, what you find is that they're trying to erase, or try to cause people not to make that connection, that the party systems and Masonry are working as dual arms for the bankers to get this goal achieved, and they're getting paid off to do it, of course. Now, I think there was incidents where the Bolsheviks and, let's say, some of the Masons in Russia might have bumped heads on certain things, but on an official level, I think that it was fully acceptance, and they were sending information to help each other. Oh, this is something I just remembered. It was like there was something like the Bolsheviks persecuted the Masons on this particular date, and if you talk to like some of the Soviet sympathizers, they'll bring this up to try to refute you, and even the Masons bring up the same point. But when you actually look into detail, the so-called Masons that they sentenced to terms, those people didn't actually get sentenced to anything. They just had a show trial, and then they let them go off free, and that's documented in Russia's Crown of Thorns as well.
Yeah, and I wonder what they're showing here in this picture. It says bell system. There's a giant bell. And it looks like it's a picture of Jacob Schiff and then a train.
Now, I think the train represents the sealed train that Lenin and the revolutionaries were sent on through Germany, right? And the Germans let them through. That's something that, is covered in None Dare Call It a Conspiracy. There's a few other books that talk about this sealed train that allowed Lenin to get through. And there's a document called the Sasson document that the Zionist and even Nazi sympathizers, they say it's a forgery. But Nesta Webster, she says it's true, like they were working together, the Germans and the Bolsheviks, very early on. And it was to overthrow the Tsar's government and stop the war, right, between Germany and Russia. In turn to this, I think, well, I mean, there's a whole lot more we could go over, but yeah, that's it. That's the sealed train.
Yeah, and then it's interesting how the Russians, they helped Lincoln, and then there's also the Transcontinental Railroad and the Trans-Siberian or whatever. And I always find it interesting how they're built around the same time. Like, I remember that there was this Lyndon LaRouche documentary that was mentioning how those two were built around the same time, and they helped industrialize like the U.S. and Europe.
Överste Edward Mandell House, en mäktig person i USA, såg till att president Woodrow Wilson snabbt, det vill säga författningsvidrigt, ordnade ett amerikanskt pass åt Lev Trotsky, så att denne kunde åka till Ryssland och utföra ett maktövertagande. Wall Street-bankiren Paul Warburg blev Trotskys politiske beskyddare. Vanligtvis tog...
Yeah, see, there's the other guy I mentioned. And I wonder if they'll mention Morgenthau, Untermeyer, and all these other guys that were,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it
many
does.
J's.
These are major players. Like Warburg's a major player, which the Warburgs were a major player with the Nazis as well. Paul Warburg. It's all connected in that way, which is strange, man.
Warburg.
Paul Warburg blev Trotskys politiske beskyddare. Vanligtvis torde en amerikan göra allt för att stödja Förenta Staternas allierade i kriget och arbeta mot tyskarna för att spara amerikanska soldaters liv. Men så såg inte bankiren Paul Warburg och hans gelikar det. Ryssland skulle förstöras och en kommunistisk slavregim införas. Enligt UD:s arkiv i Washington var det Jacob Schiff, frimurare i B'nai B'rith, och hans kumpaner Felix Warburg, Otto Kahn, Mortimer Schiff, Isaac Seligman, som redan i februari 1916 gjorde upp planer för att störta den ryske tsaren. I april 1917 bekräftade Jacob Schiff, själv offentligt, att det var tack vare hans finansiella bidrag man kunde tvinga tsaren att abdikera. Varför denna illvilja? Som svar behöver vi i korthet berätta om USAs verkliga historia. Syftet med proteströrelsen mot den höjda T-skatten i de brittiska kolonierna i Nordamerika var inte den verkliga anledningen till grundandet av Förenta Staterna. Verkligheten är mer skrämmande än så. Frimurarna ville ha en bas för framtida brottslig verksamhet. Det amerikanska frimureriet användes på 1700-talet för att skydda organiserad brottslighet, däribland opiumsmuggling, sjöröveri, senare också illegal slavhandel, att lura allmänheten och att skriva om historien. Frimurarfamiljerna Roosevelt, Morgan och andra har dolt sitt vidriga förflutna som opiumsmugglare och sjörövare. I början var det kidnappade vita som i hundratusental forslades från Storbritannien till Amerika som slavar. USA grundades inte heller på frihetsideal och demokrati. Benjamin Franklin, som var medlem i Grand Orients ökända loge Les Neuf Sœurs, de 9 systrarna, myntade slagordet Join or die, anslut er eller dö. Alla 13 kolonierna fick under tvång bilda en union som symboliserades av ormen. Detta visas upp på kongressbiblioteket i Washington. De 9 systrarna låg under den franska revolutionen bakom ett annat likasinnat slagord. Var min broder, annars dödar jag dig. De 9 systrarna hade ett mycket nära samarbete med Illuminaterna, vilka agerade under namnet Jakobinerna. Illuminaterna hade grundats av Adam Weishaupt 1776 i Ingolstadt i Bayern. Jakobinerna bar röda slavmössor, frygiska mössor, liksom de frigivna slavarna i romarriket bar för att markera sitt revolutionära sinne.
This is what I was talking about, actually. So he's covering that history. He's about to connect how the Illuminati in the French Revolution led to B'nai B'rith.
Illuminaternas inflytande är onekligen synligt överallt i den amerikanska huvudstaden, på kongressbiblioteket, riksarkivet och i kongressbyggnaden. George Washington försökte motverka Illuminaternas inflytande, men utan framgång. En av de verkliga orsakerna till inbördeskriget i USA var att frimurarna med sin ledare Albert Pike i spetsen ville grunda världens största slavrike, från Kuba till Mexiko, under beteckningen den amerikanska konfederationen.
Yeah, but they pointed out that they took a lot of slaves from Britain, and there were white slaves that were actually working under the British government, and then they were brought here as prisoners, basically, to fulfill their like indentured servitude, and they were usually in charge of the slaves, but sometimes they would get together with the slaves and try to overthrow the landowning class.
I see.
So there's like a problem, so they had to like subdue the indentured servant population. So I think that's what they were talking about, the white slaves. Yeah.
I see. Hoffman's got a book on that, I think, too. If I'm not mistaken. I forget what it's called. It's something.
Right.
Vars huvudstad skulle ha blivit Richmond i Virginia. Logerna agerade för att förverkliga dessa planer. Icke-frimuraren och republikanen Abraham Lincoln valdes i november 1860 till frimurarnas stora förskräckelse till president. När han tillträdde i Washington utsatte frimurarna honom genast för ett mordförsök. I nästa attentat var hans egen krigsminister Edwin Stanton inblandad.
I know for a fact the saying that John Wilkes Booth said after he shot Lincoln, like Sic Semper Tyrannis. If you, man, that Rush's Crown of Thorns, man, he lays out a ritual where it's like, I forget what particular, it's a very high level within Masonry. I know that much. And where like one of the people like appear as Jacques de Molay laying in a coffin, and then the Mason has to sit there and wait till he gets up, and then they say something about tyrants, very similar to what was said by John Wilkes Booth, and their mentality is anybody who goes in, for
killing
the
the king
church,
or like
yeah,
whatever, like like the old like Mirtha's king. Mirtha's the
yeah,
king.
yeah. Them boys don't like no religion. They don't like no kings. So they trying to kill all that. I don't know.
Stanton var frimurare.
Well, it makes sense because the Jews and the Freemasons brought about the democracy stuff, right? So it's like, so
Yeah,
there's a direct correlation.
their lawless system. Absolutely, and it's all rooted in this rejection. Well, like Father Seraphim was talking about, like we see it as paganism combining with reason to turn against Christianity. And what do you get out of it? You get something like Freemasonry, right? A revolutionary Freemasonry. That is like Trotsky wanted to join it because it's like we're forcefully, implementing Enlightenment ideology into the world. We need progress, right? It's that obsession with progress. And if the world doesn't get behind the progress they see fit, then the world has to be destroyed, because the ends justify the means.
Okay. So I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear.
All right. Because my shit's just like blacked out or whatever. But yeah, I'm just gonna play this.
Då valde frimurarledaren general Albert Pike en annan lösning, inbördeskrig, vilket inleddes den 12 april 1800.
But yeah, I think like, if I'm not mistaken, like, Hume and Bentham and like some of the British involvement in the French Revolution as well.
Right.
They could have like, they had some involvement in funding the uprising in France because I think Britain and France would always go to war with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like before that.
I wouldn't doubt it. I feel like there was a lot of underhanded political games being played at that time. I sent you a book by Abbe Burrell, something like that. That entire book's Jesuits' perspective on the Illuminati during the French Revolution. Super interesting stuff, man. And he says it pretty right. You would think people get caught up in the fact that the guy is a Jesuit, but there was still distinctions being made at that time. I don't think the Jesuits at that time were, at least he wasn't a part of what was going on. He clearly seen what was going on. And Nesta Webster's got a book on the French Revolution that Father Seraphim covers in Orthodox Survival Course. And those two accompany each other well. If you read Nesta Webster's The French Revolution and then you contrast it with the Orthodox Survival Course, it's great stuff, man. Along with that Burrell book. Just giving some resources to anybody that's,
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the stuff is weird. And yeah, dude, that House resolution, I found that again. That shit's weird. No hide laws.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was going over some stuff from the 1600s and the 1500s. Like, there's a lot of weird shit where you got like a bunch of people studying the Kabbalah. You got John Locke and Henry Moore
Mm.
and all these people studying the Kabbalah. So you know, by the 1600s, you know, I think if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it's interesting.
Everybody wanted to be a true, you know, Mason or a Rosicrucian or a Gnostic or, anything that was kind of strange and new. That's where men's minds were heading, and you could tell from all the important thinkers from that area or who they or people they tell you who's important. It's ridden with that ideology, I don't know, Voltaire comes to mind or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like that's where it's heading. And you could see how the nihilism and our current mentality sort of developed from these thinkers. It's unfortunate. And you see, at least what I see is like how much Freemasonry has had a stronghold on our media for these ideas to sort of become mainstream, And if you don't have the historical context to know where those ideas come from, then you're sort of, lost in the sauce, man.
Motståndarna utsatte Lincoln för påtryckningar för att grunda en centralbank. Lincoln motsatte sig idén. Han vände sig till Ryssland för att få hjälp. Tsar Alexander den andre skickade sin flotta till Lincolns förfogande, vilken också ingrep i kriget. Frimurarna hatade Lincoln för att han krossade deras stora dröm om ett globalt slavrike. 5 dagar efter inbördeskrigets slut, den 9 april 1865, sköt 33 gradens frimurare John Wilkes Booth president Lincoln på Ford Theater. Året därpå gjordes ett försök att döda tsar Alexander den andre. Efter inbördeskriget hamnade Pike inför rätta och dömdes till fängelse för förräderi. Frimurarna vände sig genast till president Andrew Johnson, som var 4:e gradens frimurare. Den 22 april 1866 benådade president Johnson honom. Dagen därpå besökte Pike presidenten i Vita huset. Den 20 juni 1867 steg president Johnson i graderna från den 4:e grad han innehade till den 32:a graden inom den skotska riten.
Som förebild för Vita huset användes det tidigare frimurarpalatset i Dublin.
Obeliskerna är förknippade med offer. Obeliskerna är förknippade med offer.
And yeah, this from Jefferson. It says to compare the morals of the Old with those of the New Testament would require an attentive study of the former, search through all its books for its precepts, through all its history for its practices, and the principles they prove. Commentaries too on these, the philosophy of the Hebrews must be acquired into their Mishnah, their Gemara, the Kabbalah, the Jazira, the Zohar, the Kasri, and their Talmud must be examined and understood in order to do them full justice. And he's writing that in a letter to Adams. John Adams.
Frimurarnas obelisk, bestående av 14 delar med Illuminaternas eller Lucifers låga högst på spetsen, restes år 1941 nära det ställe vid Dealey Plaza i Dallas, Texas, där man valde att skjuta president John F. Kennedy till döds den 22 november 1963 under skorpionens tecken. Obelisken står på den 33:e breddgraden. Den 4 juni 1963 utfärdade president John F. Kennedy dekret Executive Order nummer 11.110, vilket återgav regeringen rätten att ge ut sedlar utan att gå genom centralbanken Federal Reserve. Kennedy ville göra slut på kriget i Vietnam och hindra Israel från att skaffa atombomber och blev därmed fiende till frimuraren David Ben-Gurion, Israels premiärminister. Den halvdålige skytten Lee Harvey Oswald skulle inte kunnat få iväg 3 skott med 2 träffar inom 5,6 sekunder från sitt påstådda gömställe på 6:e våningen i skolbokslagret vid Elm Street. Åklagaren Jim Garrison i New Orleans menade att minst 3 skyttar var inblandade i den korseld som förekom. På de osensurerade bilderna framgick att Kennedy träffades av fler än 2 skott och att minst 1 kom framifrån. Syndabocken Oswald undanröjdes. Kennedy ersattes med den höge frimuraren Lyndon Baines Johnson, som gjorde allt för att sanningen om mordet inte skulle komma fram. Frimurarna är sannoliken hämndlystna. Kapten William Morgan hade en central ställning inom orden. Därmed kom han över några fruktansvärda hemligheter i sin Batavia Lodge nummer 433 i Batavia, New York. Han reste runt i USA för att varna andra loger. År 1826 förklarade han att det var hans plikt att varna även allmänheten för frimurarnas hemliga planer. Morgan skrev kontrakt med bokförläggaren överste David C. Miller för att avslöja frimurarelitens dunkla förehavanden. Frimurarna kidnappade Morgan och dränkte honom sedan i Niagarafloden. En av de inblandade frimurarna, John Whitney, bekände mordet på Morgan för sin läkare på dödsbädden år 1860. År 1882 restes i Batavia ett monument till William Morgans ära. Respekterad medborgare i Batavia och frihetsmartyr, skrev och berättade sanningen, bortfördes och mördades av frimurarna för att ha avslöjat ordens hemligheter. Jacob Schiff tillsammans med andra höga frimurare gjorde allt för att hämnas på Ryssland och där införa det grymmaste slavsystem världen någonsin skådat. Den 27 mars 1917 steg den 37-årige Lev Trotsky tillsammans med sin familj och 275 internationella terrorister och äventyrare i New York ombord på det norska fartyget Christiania Fjord för att fara till Europa och avsluta revolutionen i Ryssland. Dessutom åkte en del kriminella amerikanska kommunister, mäklare från Wall Street och affärsmän med. Det mest intressanta uttalandet av Trotsky var att Ryssland var vårt av revolutionen befriade land. Den 3 april 1917, då Christiania Fjord gjorde uppehåll i Halifax, Nova Scotia, arresterade den kanadensiska polisen Lev Trotsky, hans fru, 2 barn och ytterligare 5 ryska socialister, Nikita Muhin, Leiba Fishilev, Konstantin Romanenko, Grigorij Chudnovsky, Gerson Milichansky. Trotskys nära kamrater Valadarski och Oritski stannade kvar på båten. Trotsky greps på grund av ett telegram av den 29 mars 1917 från London. Man meddelade att Bronstein Trotsky med sina socialistkumpaner var på väg till Ryssland för att där inleda en revolution mot den sittande regeringen. För detta ändamål hade Trotsky fått $10,000 av tyskarna. Vid kroppsvisitation hittade polisen $10,000 hos honom. Han förklarade att pengarna kom från Tyskland men ville inte närmare kommentera det. Kanadensarna misstänkte Trotsky för samarbete med tyskarna. Det var den brittiska underrättelsetjänsten, vars agent Trotsky var, som ville leda bort misstankarna från Trotsky genom denna skenmanöver. Allting bekräftas av de handlingar som finns i Kanadas riksarkiv. Kanadensarna fick till och med instruktioner om att inte låta Trotsky arbeta i interneringslägret. De brittiska myndigheterna var informerade om att Kerensky, Lenin och några andra ryska medborgare finansierades av tyska generalstaben från och med år 1915. Plötsligt kom kontraorder från brittiska ambassaden i Washington om att släppa Bronstein och hans kumpaner. Ambassaden hade från UD i Washington fått ett krav att försätta Bronstein Trotsky på fri fot såsom varande amerikansk medborgare utrustad med amerikansk pass. Washington krävde att kanadensarna skulle vara tillmötesgående gentemot Bronstein. Enligt amerikanska förklaringar var det Kerensky som ville få Trotsky fri. Trotsky släpptes verkligen 5 dagar senare, den 4 maj. Sedan gjorde man allt för att dölja dessa fakta för den kanadensiska allmänheten. Ty myndigheterna visste att de genom att släppa Trotsky förlängde världskriget. Efter Trotsky kom från USA ytterligare 8,000 internationella revolutionärer som talade jiddisch sinsemellan. Den estniske socialisten Alexander Keskula föreslog den 7 september 1914 för den tyske ambassadören Gisbert von Romberg att använda Lenin som en trojansk häst för att ingå separatfred med Ryssland. Frimuraren Alexander Parvus, egentligen Israel Gelfand, som hade organiserat 1905 års revolution, fick 1915 i uppdrag att värva Lenin och hans kumpaner som tyska agenter. Även Keskula förmedlade 250 000 mark till bolsjevikerna. Tyskarnas mål var att bolsjevikerna skulle ingå en separatfred när de väl hade kommit till makten. Senare påstod dock Parvus att han verkligen drog i många av trådarna under februarikuppen medan han bodde i Stockholm vid Stureplan. Den 2 april 1917 sände greve Ulrich von Brockdorff-Rantzau från Köpenhamn till inrikesministeriet i Berlin ett strängt hemligt telegram.
Vi måste genast försöka att i Ryssland åstadkomma ett så omfattande kaos som möjligt. Samtidigt måste man undvika att öppet blanda sig i den ryska revolutionens gång. Men i hemlighet borde man göra allt för att öka motsättningarna mellan de moderata och extrema partierna. Ty vi är ganska intresserade av de sistnämnda seger, eftersom statskuppen då vore en oundviklighet.
Lenins resa godkändes av kansler Theobald von Bethmann-Hollweg, som tillhörde bankirfamiljen Bethmann i Frankfurt am Main. Den 9 april anträdde Lenin med sin grupp resan från Bern i Schweiz till Petrograd, tidigare Sankt Petersburg i Ryssland. Den tyske generalmajoren Max Hoffmann skrev senare: Vi kunde inte förutse denna fara som mänskligheten genom bolsjevikernas resa till Ryssland utsattes för. Vagnen där Lenin och hans 32 kumpaner färdades var inte alls plomberad som man enligt en myt har gjort gällande. De tyska myndigheterna hade endast bett revolutionärerna att inte lämna vagnen, där också 2 tyska officerare medföljde. Lenin ankom till Stockholms central strax före klockan 10 på morgonen fredagen den 13 april 1917. Vid Stockholms centralstation möttes Lenin och hans kumpaner av Stockholms socialistiske borgmästare Carl Lindhagen. En socialistisk riksdagsman, Erik Palmstierna, anade hur farlig Lenin egentligen kunde bli och föreslog därför att ordna en polisprovokation på centralen och i tumultet se till att Lenin blev skjuten. Men man skrattade ut honom. I Stockholm stannade Lenin i drygt 8 timmar. Huvudsakligen befann han sig på hotell Regina på Drottninggatan. Han åkte vidare samma kväll klockan 18.37 mot Haparanda. Innan dess hann svenska socialister på pub köpa en kostym och den världsberömda kepsen åt honom. Samtidigt träffade Lenin Hans Steinwachs, den tyske spionchefen i Skandinavien. Fackföreningsledaren Fabian Månsson organiserade en insamling bland riksdagsmännen. Till och med Sveriges borgerliga utrikesminister Arvid Lindman gav Lenin 100 kronor, som var mycket pengar då. En frimurare hjälpte en annan. Dessutom gav den svenska flyktingkommittén 3000 kronor till Lenin. Han anlände till Petrograds Finlandsstation tillsammans med sina kumpaner på kvällen den 16 april klockan 23.10. Frimuraren Nikolaj Chidze, som var ordförande i Petrograds Sovjet, kom med blommor och höll ett välkomsttal. Den 17 april sände Steinwachs följande telegram till Berlin. Lenins resa till Ryssland gick bra. Han gör precis det som vi önskar av honom. Totalt kom till Ryssland 25 000 internationella revolutionärer. Illuminatledaren Giuseppe Mazzini hade proklamerat: Det gamla Europa dör. Dödsdomen över kejsardömen, monarkier och aristokratin är det resultat på vilket denna epoks alla strävanden kommer att inriktas. Lenin hade år 1914 blivit medlem i den mest undergrävande Grand Orient-logen, de 9 systrarna. Frimurarna räknade med att de okunniga arbetarna inte skulle kunna se Hermes skugga i den arbetarrörelse de själva hade skapat för att ännu effektivare förslava sina offer. I början var de svenska frimurarna så självsäkra, med Palm i spetsen, att de inte dolde ett symboliskt samband mellan socialdemokratin och frimureriet, som syns här i en arbetarföreningsvimpel från år 1883. Arbetarna bedras på ett sätt och borgarna på ett annat. I juli 1917 läcktes uppgifter om Lenins och Trotskys kontakter med den tyska underrättelsetjänsten till tidningsredaktionerna. Den provisoriska regeringen förbjöd publiceringen av uppgifterna. Men den socialistiska tidningen Det levande ordet ignorerade förbudet. Och den 18 juli publicerade socialrevolutionärerna Grigori Aleksinskis och Vasilij Pankratovs artikel om tyskarnas penningbidrag till Lenins parti. De tyska pengarna hade förts från en bank i Berlin via Nya banken, Olof Aschberg, i Stockholm till Sibirienbanken i Petrograd. Dagen därpå började även andra tidningar att publicera telegram som rapporterade om överföringar av tyska pengar till Petrograds bolsjeviker under olika oskyldiga förevändningar. Den provisoriska regeringens beskickning i Stockholm till och med hjälpte bolsjevikerna att med kurirpost smuggla en del av de tyska pengarna till Petrograd. Detta framgick ur Lenins brevväxling med Ganetsky Fürstenberg. Allt detta var ytterst pinsamt för den provisoriska regeringen. Lenin började ge ut ett stort antal tidningar och tidskrifter, totalt 41. Däribland 17 dagstidningar. Med dessa pengar betalade bolsjevikerna 10-70 rubel för deltagandet i strejker och demonstrationer och 120-149 rubel för våldsaktioner. Den 20 juli utfärdade den provisoriska regeringen en häktningsorder på Lenin, Grigorij Zinovjev och Lev Kamenev, Rosenfeld. Den 22 juli klockan 23 lämnade Lenin tillsammans med Zinovjev Petrograd. Det märkvärdiga och gåtfulla var att ingen trots häktningsorden letade efter Lenin. Det fanns ingen som ville gripa honom, trots att den sovjetiska propagandan senare hävdade motsatsen.
Justitieminister Alexander Kerensky blev premiärminister.
Andrei Wyszynski var den åklagare som skulle åtala bolsjevikerna. Under Stalintiden dömde han massor av bolsjeviker till döden som brittiska agenter. I augusti 1917 reste en Röda Kors-delegation till Petrograd i Ryssland för att överlägga med bolsjevikledarna om de slutliga detaljerna inför ett rött maktövertagande. Bland deltagarna fanns 7 läkare. De andra var bankirer från New York, däribland John P. Morgan Jr. och Jacob Schiff. Den 1 september beordrade ryska arméns ÖB, general Lavr Karnilov, sina kosacker att anfalla Petrograd. Den 7 september sade general Karnilov till sin stabschef: det är dags att hänga tyskarnas supportrar och spioner med Lenin i spetsen. Och vi måste spränga sovjeterna så att de aldrig mer kan samlas igen. Kerensky blev panikslagen. Under upproret samarbetade den provisoriska regeringen och bolsjevikerna mot Karnilov. Annars skulle spelet ha varit förlorat. Lenin hade glömt sin egen paroll: inget stöd till den provisoriska regeringen. Amerikanska UD:s arkiv visar att den amerikanska ambassadören David Francis i Petrograd var välinformerad om bolsjevikernas planer. I Vita huset visste man minst 6 veckor i förväg när bolsjevikerna skulle överta makten. Detta datum hade fastställts till den 8 november, vilket råkade sammanfalla med Trotskys födelsedag. USAs president Wilson visste i förväg att bolsjevikernas maktövertagande skulle förlänga första världskriget. Han gjorde ingenting för att stoppa dessa planer. Tvärtom gjorde han allt för att befrämja dem. USA var ju den enda makt som kammade hem en enorm vinst på kriget. Alla andra stater förlorade kolossala summor och blev skyldiga USA 14 miljarder dollar. Man har räknat ut att de internationella finanskretsarna tjänade totalt 208 miljarder dollar på första världskriget. Också den brittiska regeringen kände till bolsjevikernas planer. Ty även Storbritannien rekommenderade minst 6 veckor före maktskiftet sina undersåtar att lämna Ryssland. Myndigheterna visste att Lenin redan i oktober var i Petrograd. En officiell person fick detta bekräftat av Lenins syster Maria. Den provisoriska regeringen försökte inte på något sätt förfölja eller gripa Lenin. Bolsjevikernas planer att överta makten var inte alls någon hemlighet för allmänheten. Allra minst för den provisoriska regeringen. Ty Zinoviev och Kamenev skrev helt öppet därom den 31 oktober i tidningen Novaya Жизнь. Också Lenin hade offentligt talat om det vid flera tillfällen. Myndigheterna kände till bolsjevikernas planer i detalj. Så varför gjorde de ingenting om det inte var ett samspel? Kerensky vägrade att kommendera specialtrupper till Petrograd då man föreslog detta. Trotsky hade redan den 25 oktober bildat en militärrevolutionär kommitté. Till detta organ överlämnades makten i all tysthet redan den 3 november. Lenin, som inte var född den 22 april 1870 utan den 23 april, var inte ens den som organiserade maktövertagandet den 7 november 1917. Det var egentligen Trotsky som inte ens ville släppa in Lenin i Smolny, konspiratörernas stav. När makten väl låg i händerna på bolsjevikerna sa Lenin till Trotsky på tyska: Es schwindelt, jag får yrsel. Vid 18-tiden den 7 november beordrade rektorn för artilleristernas kadettskola i Mikhailovsk sina kadetter att lämna vinterpalatset. Även kosackerna avlägsnade sig. Den provisoriska regeringen gjorde allt för att så fredligt som möjligt överlämna vinterpalatset till bolsjevikerna. Samtidigt hade den ju ingen som helst makt kvar. Teatrarna gav sina föreställningar, restaurangerna var öppna. Ingen märkte att någonting egendomligt var i görningen. Trotsky hade den 7 november klockan 14.35 bekräftat att den provisoriska regeringen inte existerade längre. Klockan 10 hade man på sovjeternas kongress proklamerat: den statliga makten ligger hos den militärrevolutionära kommittén. Rödgardisterna väntade med att gå in i vinterpalatset trots att det inte fanns några vakter som skyddade sidodörren. Någon stormning av vinterpalatset ägde aldrig rum. Allting gick lugnt till. Inget blod spilldes. Rödgardisterna bara väntade till klockan 1:30 på natten. När bolsjevikerna helt lugnt hade gått in genom obevakade ingångar promenerade de omkring i hallar och korridorer, hälsade vänligt på försvararna som inte bjöd något motstånd. Ledamoten av militärrevolutionära kommittén och Trotskys kamrat Vladimir Antonov Avseenka kom med sina rödgardister fram till Malakitsalongen strax före 2:00 och ställde sig att vänta bakom den dörr som ledde till den provisoriska regeringens sammanträdesrum. Regeringen, utom Kerensky, hade mot allt förnuft samlats där. Varför? Antonov Avsejenka bara stod och tittade på klockan. Rödgardister och matroser stod också och väntade på Antonov Avsejenkas signal. Så stod de där och dröjde i omkring 10 minuter. Då klockan blev 2:10 sade Antonov Avsejenka till rödgardisterna: nu är det dags. Para. Han öppnade dörren och sade något mycket kryptiskt till ministrarna. Mina herrar, er tid är ute. Vid en närmare astrologisk kontroll upptäcker man att solen just då stod exakt mitt i skorpionens tecken. 14 grader och 58 minuter. Skorpionen är det 8:e tecknet i zodiaken. Brottets och dödens tecken.
Uh-oh. Getting into the Scorpio
Trotsky
and
fyllde
shit.
den 8 november 38 år.
Oh,
Och
shit.
spektaklet blev samtidigt hans födelsedagskalas. Bolsjevikerna förlorade parlamentsvalet men fortsatte att regera. Och när massorna protesterade öppnade rödgardisterna eld och dödade 10 personer i samband med öppnandet av den konstituerande församlingen den 5 januari 1918. Sedan började bolsjevikerna terrorisera och plundra befolkningen helt öppet under slagordet råna det som rånats. Lenin fick ihop ofantliga rikedomar. Tjeckisterna brukade ofta gripa hela familjer och tortera barnen inför föräldrarnas ögon och hustrun inför mannens för att få fram guldföremål. Detta jätterån förvandlades liksom till en sjuk affärstransaktion. New York Herald Tribune ansåg:
det verkar som om bolsjevikrevolutionen i Ryssland i själva verket vore en jättelik finansoperation, vars mål är att överföra kontrollen över stora penningbelopp från ryssarna till europeiska och amerikanska banker.
Hornlopen.
Oh, he left. I was going to tell him that the guy is Estonian. So maybe when he comes back, I'll tell him again.
Yeah, I think the communist networks are still active. Like, I remember joining this Discord channel for like Iranian gathering, and it was full of communists. And I was like totally shocked, and it scared me. And so I don't know. I don't like communists. I don't like communism. Just making that clear. Like, like right after that. But they do spread their crap everywhere. Like to Central Asia also. Like lots of like propaganda. That's a whole different field. Like you look at how they spread communism, Bolshevism to Central Asia also. Like Kazakhstan. Yeah, they did a lot of propagandization in Kazakhstan and other Central Asian countries too.
Why you gotta call it Kazakhstan?
Yeah, they
did.
You're
right. Can you guys hear me?
So, hey, I want
Sorry to interrupt you. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, but I was saying that he's
cool.
from
I just wanna make sure
Estonia,
Very cool.
so he might be.
Lena is from Estonia. Yeah. Hey, but here's a question I got for you guys. Do you think, especially with the German guy, right? Do you think if you look into this is the truth of the matter is there was a segment of Freemasonry that was more aligned with leftist ideology, right? But there was another form of Freemasonry at that time that was associated with like the Thule Society and viewing instead of the occult roots of Masonry being Jewish, rather they seen it as Egyptian. Does that make sense?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about that recently. Have you noticed there's been a lot of people going around and spreading Nazism and communism? I think they call it Natspo, National Bolshevism. Yeah, and that must be like
it's a dialectic.
Yes, dialectic. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And you know, you can find the Nazis attacking Masons. That's true. But is it the same Masons that promoted the Thule Society with Eckhart and you know, I think it's Memphis Mizraim, if I had to guess. And I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And our other people will come to that conclusion. Now, there were sects of Masonry that were against each other, but we can also there's documented evidence that the Nazis were getting funding from Rothschild entities. $60 million, something like that. There's multiple documentation you could find where they were getting funding from the same people who were funding the Bolsheviks. And in the same way, the Bolsheviks seemed to be against the Masons, but behind closed doors, it was to cause a separation in the mind of the people in Russia that there was a difference between the the communists and the Masons, or the communists and the capitalists. And there's always this so-called, them being so-called enemies, and they might persecute somebody that seems to be a part of Masonry. But as a whole, was it all Masons being persecuted? What's the details and the distinctions in that? And I think that when you closely examine the situation in Germany and in Russia, you'll find the same thing. That there were some Masons that were against the Bolsheviks, and there were some that were supportive of the Bolsheviks. But the root ideology is Masonic in nature.
Yeah, it's definitely some, Masonic and probably some other interrelated secret organizations, which are probably most likely Masonic.
With the
too.
Nazis, the Third Reich, this concept is millenarianism. It is Killyism. There will be this 1,000-year reign, and this superhuman, Nietzschean mistake, where there's a misinterpretation of Nietzsche being applied to the ethnicity, which that's always been a strategy of these oligarchs, is to divide nations based on racial identity or economic distinctions. It's always a divide game. That's what I'm trying to point out. Either they'll use race as the basis for the divide, or they'll use economics.
So what you guys be trying to say up in here? You trying to say that America's a Jewish science experiment or some shit?
I'm saying America is a Freemasonic experiment, and so was Germany, and so was Russia. And
So Jewish.
our politicians have. It's not
So a
just
Jewish science experiment.
It's
Right.
not just Jewish. I would say that the Zionists consider themselves humanist, right? So it's there's ethnic Jews involved. But religious belief, I feel as if it's, there is no solid ground, because they don't care about religion. They care about resources. They might use the religion as a basis to justify certain acts. So Judaism is only a tool to be used for the justification of establishing Israel on the lands belonging to the Palestinian people, right? It's like,
So okay.
they
So
don't
you're
really
saying that
have any religious belief.
So are you saying that Freemasonry supersedes Judaism ultimately?
No, I would say that, Freemasonry is the Gentile version of the synagogue, right? And that there is a Jewish form of Freemasonry that supersedes all other forms of Freemasonry. That's known as B'nai B'rith. And what is directing B'nai B'rith, as far as I understand, is Rothschild money. It's a banking, monopoly going on behind the scenes, and they all have the same intention. Now, the people that join Masonry might not necessarily understand what the end goal of the Masons is. That's why Herzl, who established Zionism, one of the founders of Zionism, says that the Gentile Mason doesn't even know what Freemasonry is about, and he calls them pigs. All right. So
Well, maybe hurt soul was just a hurt soul. Is that possible?
you gay, bro. You so gay.
Well, how much longer is this documentary? So,
Oh man, in the damn documentary, you know, go.
It's an
go-
hour. It's an hour left. If we say nothing for the rest of the time, then we can watch the entire thing. So
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
shut up.
because I gotta go in an hour. I gotta go in exactly an hour. So we have to literally say nothing and just watch it.
is this thing worth completing? Has
Yeah.
anybody completed it yet?
Yeah, I'm down to
I've
complete
watched it. Yeah, I've seen the documentary before.
We're gonna get strike down by the copyright gods.
I don't know, man.
I don't care. But about that. But yeah. Well, I thought we were gonna talk about the thing as we go, but I just was super busy.
Well, I've been busy right now too.
So I just heard this
gotta
like.
go. I mean, if you guys want to do this, you can. If you want to stop, you can. I gotta go.
No. Yeah,
Oh,
I have like some questions for you actually before you go. Honestly, I have a
Okay,
question.
all right. Yeah, what's up?
Do you think I'm not trying to insinuate anyone is involved in this, but do you think that something like this is happening again? You know, like with the Bolshevik rise and the
Yes.
Third Reich. You know, because I noticed on Discord there are a lot of people that are trying to convert people to esoteric Nazism or to communism. Both either of those extremes. Do you think that's organic or by design?
I think it's organic and it's of the Antichrist spirit, and it's both and. So it's organically developing, but it's being perpetuated through social media as well. So it's both. But it's spiritual at its root. That's what I would say. Is like the same spirit that influenced the lawlessness that would happen after the death of Tsar Nicholas that led to, the Second World War and the Cold War and everything that happened in between there it's the world being spiritually directed towards Antichrist and those and the spirituality of Antichrist. So that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, I appreciate your response. Yeah, that was the only question I wanted to answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Well,
that's the only way I know how to explain it, because otherwise, I mean, it just seems like, well, what's the chances of all these things developing in this way that seem to be directing towards a world communist government? And I only know from a prophetic standpoint that this is said to happen. And all these people that say it's going to happen is going to, it's going to be peaceful and man can finally live in a utopia and be safe. They're selling it like that. So, yeah.
are you jutopophobic?
No, I hate you. How about that? Shut up.
No, but I wanted to talk about some of the stuff more. I just been hearing this like French guy or whatever he is. Like I just been hearing him
Estonian,
talk.
dude. Get your
Okay,
languages
Estonian.
straight, man. And you can't even look. Listen to
Look,
the nihilist.
I'm in America. This guy needs to
I'm
speak
American, so I can't read subtitles. I have a
Well,
problem with subtitles. Dude, you're retarded, bro.
Well,
Shut
I
up,
work.
boy.
Sometimes I work with my hands, so I can't be looking at no screen, boy.
Man, you need to read, dude. You need to read, bro, and get your mind stuck off them shorts. Your head turned to a short world, bro.
That's true, actually. That's true. Well, at least I'm making them.
Hey, man.
I make the brain rot. I don't consume. Well, I do consume it, but I consume it to create it. Okay. All right. Sorry, go.
I think that is a major problem. I think that the majority of the American people have been programmed for the short. It's lowering attention span, so you don't have the attention span to make distinctions and get down to the grassroots of where we are. As a
That sounds like
society,
something that sounds like something a damn pothead would say.
Hey,
Getting
man,
down to the grassroots and whatnot.
Shut up, gay boy. So there's a photo of like Trotsky riding a dragon with a capitalist hat on, like, you know what I mean, like a banker's hat on, and it's like he's in the depiction of Saint George, but it's actually funny. Is like actually, Trotsky was being funded by the dragon, according to this documentary. You know what I'm saying?
The dragon? What's the dragon?
Well, I just explained how there was a photograph, right? Like a drawing, Neuro Jack, and it's of a dragon, right? And he has a capitalist top hat on, and it shows Trotsky as Saint George slaying the dragon. And I was saying that, and according to this documentary,
Oh, I
Trotsky
see.
was actually being funded by the dragon
Well,
rather
well,
than
the reason,
slaying the
the
dragon.
I linked the picture. If you want to look at it, I linked it. You can look at it
yeah.
and
Well,
find
the
the chat.
reason the reason I ask about the dragon is like I have this theory that like the Order of the Dragon is far more important than people want to admit, and I asked Machine about that. I did write a piece using the gay eye with to help me do it, but to like research some of the stuff. But yeah, I have this theory that like the Order of the Dragon with like Vlad the Impaler and shit was like way more important, and that's kind of like why they use that dragon imagery. And I don't know how far back it goes, but I know it definitely goes back to at least that time.
Well,
So
the
yeah.
dragon imagery comes from Revelation, or and in the same way that, but it also comes from the iconography of Saint George slaying a dragon. There's a depiction of that in Orthodox iconography, and it's funny that the communists use iconographic images to display the communist revolutionaries as if they were saints, because communism's sort of like a hold on. Communism's a religion in itself, essentially. That's why they do that. That's why they take a icon and subvert it. But everybody knows that Satan's considered a serpent, like in the Garden of Eden, or it could be called Leviathan. They said that in Revelation it says the angels do war with the dragon. He's talking about Satan. So, but oftentimes the communists want to depict the capitalists as being Satan, while the entire time the capitalists were funding the Bolshevik Revolution and the Soviet government to keep them afloat. So.
Company som genom sina tyska filialer stödde Trotskys maktöver.
So I'm guessing now Neuro Jack can't see this at all.
Well, I can see it, but like I just haven't really been looking at the screen, so it's like it's all good. It's so but it's all good. So if you guys just want to complete it, it's cool. I just can't really look at the screen the full time, so that's why I haven't really been commenting until I had a chance. So Unseen's gone now, so shit. But he's seen it before, so. But so if you guys want to complete this, you guys can for sure. But I won't be able to really comment because I can't really like look at the screen right
Yeah,
now.
it's up to you. I mean, it's your show. If you want to turn on something else, you can.
But if you guys want to save the rest for later, we can save that, and then we can review something else for a little bit if you guys want to.
Yeah, that's
sure.
It's up to you guys. Because we're at. Sorry, I'm reading the comments on here too. But yeah, it's up to you guys. If you guys want to review something else, we can. If not, we can. You guys can just complete this thingy.
I mean, you can just, I was shopping today and I was like,
I need to
so
put this thing into the AI and like make a document or something.
Yeah, I was shopping today and I was so surprised that food prices are really going up.
Yeah,
And,
dude, it's huge.
Yeah, it's crazy. And around this time, the only thing Trump is talking about is how well can he, suck knit on baby's dick or something like that. That's the only thing he's like doing. Like, like that's all Trump cares about. Like just being a cuck or being a gay boy for a baby or knit on you or something. Like,
right.
Yeah. Today I was just talking with baby and like just it's gonna be more war, basically. That's all that happened.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if it was.
I'm sorry. I was talking over you guys. I couldn't hear you, so my bad. I couldn't hear you guys talking.
I was saying that around this time, Trump is just sucking off BB, and the food prices are going up, and people are getting poorer and stuff like that. And it's not really, it's like
Well,
a satire, like.
well,
because-
I have a bunch of stuff to cover on that front, but I don't know how deep you guys want to get into it because I know Machine's only got an hour. But yeah, I've got a ton of material on that.
Yeah,
I was gonna try.
I
to,
feel
like, show
I
you
feel
guys.
bad for homeless people in general. Like I can't imagine now. Like the Indians really are flooding IT. Like it's crazy, and that has to be the fault of the leaders and outsourcing and stuff.
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead. Well, just really brief on that. Like, I have really super mixed feelings on it. Like my perspectives change a lot, and it's not necessarily for the better either. But it's like, I think that like we have to look at it like this. Like, you know, it's pretty much inevitable in the sense where like these people making arguments about like how capitalism is like just going to do a what do you call it, oh, sorry, I'm trying to think here, how do you say it, like you're just going to be a race to the bottom with the labor. But I think it's, and I know I've said this before, but I think a big part of it is really about trying to it's really trying to bring the Indians into the fold, I think. So like they decolonized India and now they're recolonizing it economically. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's and ultimately like they're going to use migration. So the same way that they're migrating Indians here, they're migrating Pakistanis and like Burmese and like other people into India. Do you know what I'm
Yeah, there's
saying?
something weird about India's relationship with Israel. Like I saw this video of an Indian guy. He was bowing to this rabbi. I can share it. Like it was
That's
a woman.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like what the hell? Like what is up with
Yeah,
this?
that's a major part. Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like it's a major, like they're like, like if you think America's Zionist, I think India is far more Zionist from what I can tell. Like, or like maybe not far more, but there's definitely a lot of like crypto Chabadnik stuff going on for sure. So yeah, it's pretty weird. Like I've seen some stuff about it. It's pretty crazy for sure.
There's something weird. Like the Jews, they are like on the top a lot, but I think they're starting to put Indians as a kind of front. Like a university I know in Alabama, it has an Indian, Indian headmaster, I forgot. And you see a lot of Indians now, they're going into like high tech positions and high positions of power in the West. Like I think UK, or was it London or somewhere else, they have like the Indians, like they like putting Indians as like the front or something, or like in America.
Yeah, I saw this video the other day, and I there's no way I can find it unless I go way back in some of my records I've been keeping of this stuff. But like it was like this video of this what do you call it? It was this video of a East Asian person talking about why is it that Indians are getting all these positions and East Asians aren't. And it kind of talked about like some cultural things and whatnot. But like ultimately what they were coming down to is like, they're basically saying like, in other words, like Indians are really like good at frankly selling out their own people is what they they didn't say it that way, but like that's kind of what I took away from it. They're like, well, they don't really, like they have no problem, like, because they're a caste system, right? So like if they're an upper class person, and again I'm generalizing, for the sake of argument, but I'm saying like their culture has kind of been weaponized to where like the caste system can be weaponized into like economics or something like that. So it's kind of like an interesting situation there. And I've definitely seen it in America where they do the chain migration for like the H-1Bs, but a lot of the H-1Bs are kind of like slaves, even within their own, even within their own family, right? Their own family will like, make these people like, well, I got you here, so therefore you owe me and stuff like that. And again, I'm generalizing, but I'm just saying like I've personally witnessed that. So, there's kind of like this weird, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen in East Asian stuff, but it's like, I think there's definitely some cultural differences. Like I don't think East Asians technically have like a caste system, right? Like they don't
Yeah,
when
they
they
don't.
when
They
people
don't
come
have
over
a
here,
system.
they kind of have like they kind of adopt American stuff.
Mm.
I think East Asians take more to like American values, quote unquote, whatever, for better or for worse.
Did you
A
block
little
Dark
easier.
Face from coming on here? Dark Face wants to come on. Or
Yep, I did because he's very unhappy with me, and so I don't want to upset him any further. So
yeah, I see. Well, yeah, it's not looking bright. Yeah, it's not looking bright. The 20th century was one of the bloodiest in all of human history. And that's the problem with Steven Pinker. Like, we could actually one day we should go over all of the bloody conflicts in the 20th century, and so that way you can tell people, no, things weren't getting better. Steven Pinker is full of shit. And I'm not trying to make people scared or fearmonger, but I don't know, the 21st century has only started. It's pretty bloody too, to be honest. The 21st century, Yemen, Syria, and some other ones, and I don't know, in 20th century we have Vietnam War, Yugoslavian War, World War II, a couple more stuff. Yeah, World War One, and I think the Armenian genocide happened in the late 19th century or early 1900s. So I think it happened in late 19th century. But yeah, yeah, I think it's a big fat lie to say we live in the most peaceful times now. I mean, you have to be dumb to think that. Like Steven Pinker, I remember that one video from Steven
well,
Pinker.
it's true in the sense that the most amount of people aren't dying from violence, probably percentage wise, in history, but and the other side or from famine or something like that. But on the other side, it's like, well, it's the subtleness of it. And again, like I have a lot of material that I collected just in the past couple of days about this, where it's like, everybody's trying to figure out like, well, how do we? It's because you guys were saying something earlier about like how democracy is like the devil's playground essentially or something. And I'm kind of speaking in euphemism, but there's a lot of people who are like concerned with tech, and one of the big things that they're pushing right now is they're kind of pushing this kind of like let's democratize the AKA like redistribute the wealth created by the technology in order to subsidize the economy, which I think it's inevitable, right? But at the same time, can you actually democratize such a thing? Like, really, it's like just begging for. You're just really just begging for scraps one way or the other, right? But it's like I think there's like this LARP that you're going to see where everybody's like, well, we have to demand XYZ from the AI overlords or whatever, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, yep, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys want to watch any more of this or put some.
No, that's fine. It's fine. Maybe some other time I'll watch it. Because Neuro Jack cannot watch it, and I'll watch it some other time. So
Whoa, the thing's going. Oh. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just
you
too
know,
distracted.
jury.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, sorry. Whoa, who's this?
That's the Pinker and Dawkins and Dennett and Brackman on the Epstein plane.
On the Epstein plane. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. I know all of them are retarded. Yeah, something about that woman with the
I'm
platinum
sure
hair.
it's a
She looks like
beautiful
that.
plane
Who's
to be
that? That's
on. or something.
Blackmore. That's Susan Blackmore.
Based.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know who that is, but it looks kind of satanic. Yeah, they're all stupid. Yeah. Who's the guy on the far left?
If you guys want to, I can't hear you, Avian. If you guys want to keep reviewing,
sorry.
go ahead. I'll be back in a minute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Who's on the guy on the far left?
That's John Brackman.
Sean Brackman. I recognize all of them, but him.
Yeah, John Brackman is he's in that documentary, The Net, the Unabomber, and LSD. You ever seen that documentary?
No, I haven't seen that documentary. No, isn't
Oh,
that the
man,
one
I gotta
on Netflix?
No, it's a German one. I'll send it to you because this guy actually had correspondence with Uncle Teddy, and he was actually talking to John Brockman and all these people who started. He talks to John Brockman and Stuart Brand, and so those were people that were really involved in like promoting transhumanism, like in the inner circle of all these people. And I think it says that Stuart Brand produced a work called The World Book. And Uncle Teddy used the World Book because it had a description of how Thoreau built his cabin in the woods. So it's actually based on Walden.
What strange connections?
Yeah, it is a really strange connection. Yeah.
And who's that in the middle? The woman that's, I think I said Susan Blackmore, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's someone else.
I don't know. I don't recognize her. Yeah, she does look familiar.
Yeah, I don't think it's Susan Blackmore. Someone else. Yeah. That's interesting that Hitchens is not there. Did Hitchens have connections with Epstein or not really? Epstein. Or
I'm not sure about him.
Yeah, maybe he did. Or maybe.
Yeah, but he did say he was Jewish. Chris Hitchens.
He did? Hitchens said he was Jewish?
Yeah. Yeah, on his mom's side, yeah. Yeah, he did say that.
Oh, wow. So that means he is a Jew. Yeah. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah. Maybe they're all Jews. Some of them are crypto or something. No, I know.
Well, that's what. Yeah, that's what Unseen was saying. That there's some, a bit of crypto J stuff in Freemasonry, right?
Hey.
So I don't know where Neuro went. I guess he's just gonna leave this. Yeah, but so I have only like 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
Before we have to go do the show, so.
What is your show gonna be about today?
I'm just gonna watch those videos we have. I have like 4 or 5 videos. I have Angie Hobbs explaining Heraclitus. Then I have the Jewish guy explaining Philo and Maimonides. So I'm gonna maybe just watch those.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And then I may watch something on Ibn Tufayl. And there's a lot of philosophers. I found out that there's been a lot of different thinkers throughout history that have gravitated towards this work of his. So we're gonna be reading this one. So so I may actually get some info that ties to Avicenna as well. So maybe because I know a couple of good videos on Avicenna. So I think maybe it'll just be watching and reviewing some videos and looking at some historical information, contextualizing some historical information, and then it's only 2 hours today, so I mean it should just pass by pretty quickly on it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Let me see what else I have to say.
Yeah, but if you want to bring anything up, feel free on the show.
Yeah, I can't bring anything up because I think he needs to accept it for me to share the screen or something. But yeah.
Oh no, I'm saying on my show. Yeah, not here.
On your show. On your show. I don't want to interrupt on Tuesdays. And stuff.
I know it's fine. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Feel free to interrupt it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. So
because the link will be open anyway, so so anybody will be able to call in. But people are kind of afraid to talk to us. They just want to troll the whole thing.
I think most people just don't understand anti-modernist thought. Like they never really considered it deeply.
Right.
Critiquing modernism. Yeah. There are different angles you can critique modernism. So I think Unseen's angle is an interesting one, and then there are like multiple angles. Deep ecology is one angle, or Teddy's more angle of like being self-reliant. That's taking destiny in your own hands, the power process. That's Teddy's angle. I think that's pretty good too. I think the angle of Scribina's angles that we're basically creating something above us in the food chain. So I think that's really Scribina's angle. I think that's a good angle too. There are different ways you can approach anti-modernism. It's like its own field. You know what I mean? Like I think my angle is like kind of like a midway point between Scribina and Unseen. Kind of that is kind of midway point. And Kaczynski. Like I think that. Like any angle you approach it from, you can see it as not good. Yeah, like it destroys biodiversity, then you lose self-reliant ways of life. I would say another angle is like people, this is more Clogge's angle, is that people think conceptual learning is the most important form of learning, but I don't think so. Like you had to say about discernment, discernment or intuition is above abstract learning, and as the industrialization increases, people think they're learning more, they're gaining more conceptual ideas and blah, blah, blah. But that's not true learning. True learning is getting your hands dirty, taking destiny in your own hands, having a real community or tradition, stuff like that. So there are many angles you can approach anti-modernist thought, is all I'm saying. Like, feel like there should be a book written about anti-modernism, and like instead of like approaching it like the way Kaczynski did, you approach it more from like strategies. Like there are different approaches to the environmental approach, the traditional approach, the self-reliant approach. See what I'm saying? There are different approaches to anti-modernism. Right. Yeah, sorry if I went on too long.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I like what what Alul says about about like technical monism and technical intent. Those things really impress me. So I went on a whole sort of diatribe and looking at this idea that modernity dislodges people from two things, from nature and time. Right? It puts time on the idea of progress, then it puts nature in the idea that it's stuff and that it's separate from you. Right? So then
Yeah, that's true. It also degenerates traditions, it degenerates.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a whole thing that I put in a whole nother bag of items where I talk about the one is the desacralization of nature, but the other is the desacralization of knowledge. So that's like the compartmentalization of knowledge, the loss of traditions, and then like basically how society becomes ruled by experts and specialists, right? And the knowledge doesn't link back to any central purpose, right? That really drives the society, but it's, driven by by progress, essentially, right? Instead of with some internal need.
Yeah, it's like the ILO is like the launching pad for all of the angles of analysis that critique technique or modernity.
Right.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if Neuro wanted to shut her down. Because certainly, like, no one here. Is anybody in the chat? Blessings to the Shadow Buddha. I appreciate you if you're here. Moontan. All the people that were watching. We will be doing a sort of a regular show on the Machine Lies. Usually I give a little bit of a recap of some of the material that we've gone into. And sort of contextualize some of the ideas and concepts. And then we launch into discussions of the material. And I think I'll go really quickly today because tomorrow we're, I'm sort of doing I'm hoping to have more discussions tomorrow on tomorrow's show since it's New Year's show. So there'll be a sort of a greater opportunity for discussions.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if I could just take these guys off the screen because I'm tired of actually tired of looking at them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just do that.
Yeah, they are annoying. Yeah.
And then he's got Epstein in the back still. It's crazy. He's got Epstein with a rainbow. And yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Why does Neuro Jack tend to leave his streams? Like, it's kind of weird.
I think it's some type of he's been doing it for a very long time. So many people have complained. All right. Like I remember Pinoid was yelling at him. Yeah, he likes to get people in here and then just leave. To fill in the studio and then just leave. Yeah. It's a unique way of streaming.
Yeah. it is a unique way of streaming. Yeah.
Yeah, like people actually stream a lot and they don't manage their own stream, but Neuro Jack's kind of just upfront about it. He's like, you know, it's like, well, this is a space to talk. But if we leave at this point, then the stream will just end. So we can, you know, sort of end the stream. So I've done that before. So if he doesn't come back, you know, in time for, you know, let's say if I start my show, then I'll just go ahead and end it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. How many people are even watching the stream? I don't see the number.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing the number.
Yeah.
Yeah,
only he can see the number.
Yeah, I do have to text some people, and you know, like this is the thing here. Is like I'm actually, yeah, there's 3 people watching. I'm sure it's, you know, Denise and Jake and either Shadow Buddha or Moontan or somebody like that. But yeah, he's on 4 different streams, so it's impossible to tell actually. You know how many people are actually watching, because you'd have to go to all 4 streams and then compile the numbers. So that is you know.
And that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I guess.
And still, it suppresses numbers, because I remember, you know, I was doing a stream and it said 0 watching. Yeah, I was just playing music, and so I said, "Who's here?" It says 0 watching, and 5 people wrote in the chat.
Yeah, it's not reliable. Like I don't know what they're doing. Like
yeah, it doesn't seem reliable. Maybe the counter is broken, or I don't know. There's several possibilities, or maybe they're suppressing the numbers. There's, you know, there's several possibilities.
Have you noticed in Akira Toriyama's artwork for like Dragon Ball Z, or even his other artwork, all his characters look cross-eyed? Like, you know, what's that?
That's interesting.
Yeah,
it's like Sonic the Hedgehog, or something.
Yeah,
like weird eyes.
Yeah, they look cross-eyed a lot of times, not all the time, but yeah.
Yeah, they got weird looking eyes.
In the Dragon Ball artwork, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's got an interesting style, honestly. But yeah, I'm really influenced by that. You know, especially Dragon Ball Z and the entire thing. You know, and then when I grew up, I watched Dragon Ball. I got a lot of context for the other show.
Yeah, I like that. I do recommend, well, me getting the Dragon Quest. You know, like the Dragon Quest games. He illustrated, you know, Akira Toriyama illustrated Dragon Quest games, and he also illustrated this game called Chrono Trigger. That's a fan favorite, Chrono Trigger. But yeah, Dragon Quest is more medieval stuff. I can show you some of the concept art. Am I allowed to share stuff here, or like it doesn't appear? Like, or okay. Let me see here. Let me see if I can share stuff.
Not without Neuro Jack.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, Dragon Quest has nice art style. The same as yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'll share some on the Discord later. Yeah, and later I'll share some.
Yeah, but if you watch the cartoon Dragon Ball and then you watch Dragon Ball Z, it's pretty strange, because there's no inkling in all of Dragon Ball that there's any aliens. Everything's happening on Earth in Dragon Ball. They'll go to the sky. They'll like go to like a sky palace. You know, but the Saiyans come from another planet. And that's when they tell Goku, you know, first of all, kidnap his son, but then they say, okay, you're actually from another planet, right? Because they find the alien pod where Goku came from. So it's kind of weird. Like in the entire Dragon Ball series, like neither Goku nor Piccolo understand that they're actually from another planet.
Yeah, I remember I saw a lot of the episodes when I was younger. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z, they atmospherically feel very different. Yeah. They feel very different. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z and the regular one, the original one. Yeah, and then you have like GT or whatever. I never saw that one. But yeah, Dragon Ball is cool. Yeah, it's cool. I like it. Yeah, I did like it a lot. Yeah, my favorite. I thought Boo was pretty creepy when I was younger. Boo from Z. Remember Boo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had Hercule Satan. And then they had the actual Satan.
Yeah, I remember Hercule was more of like a satire. He was more like a satire or like a caricature or something. He thought he was the hot shit, but he was just he's just weak and stuff.
But he was the one who I think he like saved the planet because he like befriended Majin Buu by taking care of that dog or whatever.
Yeah, it's been so long since I seen it. I need to revisit it. Need to revisit it. Yeah. I remember Cell,
yeah.
Cell, Frieza, Boo, those from the original. I remember the Sky Palace and stuff like that. Yeah. Also think in the original he did transform into that big monkey Goku. I remember several times. Same with yeah. And they had the monkey tail. So. Yeah. Yep. I'll get some cool stuff on the Discord later.
Yeah, there's another idea where there's a highly like technologically advanced race that was destroyed by the Saiyans, and the Saiyans stole their technology and then went to a bunch of other planets and just started just plundering those planets until they were enslaved by Frieza.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, some wild shit. And then they went to Namek, and that's when they like found like I guess like Piccolo's spaceship or whatever, and it went to Namek. But they were about to do the same thing to Namek, which is like plunder the planet of its resources and just leave. So like, yeah, I don't know how he thought of this. Like aliens that are like just like enslaving other races.
Yeah, there's a lot of
to like sap resources. And
Earth there's a lot of fiction like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like yeah, it's kind of like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or some shit, in like a weird way.
Yeah, let me think. Yeah, there's a lot of fiction like that. In the Metroid series, there are these like Chozo. I talked about them a bit. They're like humanoid avians that live on the planets, and they start doing like biological experiments, and they go to other planets, and one of their experiments goes haywire, and it creates these kind of beings that are like they suck on people's brains or they take control of the brain. They're called Metroids. They look like jellyfish, and that basically causes the ecosystems of some planets to go haywire. And sometimes you go on the planets and you see the experiments that the Chozo did, go haywire. And the Chozo, they were shown as being wise, but they also created lots of problems on different planets. Like, yeah, it's interesting. And there's this new game. Actually, there's this game called Nine Souls. It has a mix of Taoism, a mix of cyberpunk, and a mix of transhumanist stuff. And that came from Taiwan. It was developed by Taiwanese. That one actually shows, humanoid cats. That they're like harvesting human beings. They create a simulation for human beings, and they're harvesting their brains for like a computer, energized by human brains. You know what I mean? Like a big organoid computer. And the reason they're doing that is to like try to find a cure for a disease that hit their own planet or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if like an other intelligent life exists on other planets, I think something like dark forest hypothesis would be more true. Like they would probably like conceal themselves or try to like take over the planet and for its resources. Hopefully that's not true though. That wouldn't be very pleasant or something. Like it'd be very that suck. That would suck though. But I don't know. Like yeah, like different alien. Yeah, Frieza was a crazy. I remember Frieza being crazy. I mean, Goku spared Frieza, and then when he turned around, Frieza tried to kill Goku with that like disc, the golden disc. Remember that golden disc? I remember that scene with Frieza and stuff. And then Goku killed Frieza. So, yeah, sorry for rambling. Yeah, I just kind of rambling.
No, it's wild. I mean, he drew the entire planet being destroyed from the inside out. So like there's like volcanic eruptions and like because he showed a lot of the scenery on that planet Namek, and the way he drew the planet was actually it was incredible. I mean, it's just incredible art. They had their own houses, they had their own plants and trees, and like very like they had their own like types of rocks. It's pretty weird.
Yeah, it has some cool sci-fi like stuff. I remember Z had more sci-fi stuff. The original Dragon Ball didn't really have much sci-fi.
Right. Right, and then GT it got kind of like weird, honestly, until they had the guy that came back from the race that was like a descendant of the race the Saiyans destroyed.
Have you watched Super or you haven't really checked out Super?
I've not really checked that out yet. That's not really written by Toriyama, is it?
You have to. I think that one he was involved in a little bit, but I'm not sure. I have to double check. Let me see if he wrote. Let me double check if he wrote down.
Yeah, I thought he didn't.
No, he did not. You're right. He did not write. Super. Yeah. I think he wrote a few episodes. Like he did the overarching story outline, character concepts, and some plot points. Like I see that here, but he didn't write everything. You see, let me double check.
Yeah, that guy was a good writer.
Yeah, Toriyama. Yeah, his illustrations are
he
nice.
Made it funny. Yeah, he made it funny. Like Master Roshi, like that's a funny character.
Yeah, I mean, he was a bit perverted. Yeah, he's funny. Yeah, perverted.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he had like Krillin, like how he like found that like that one girl with like giant titties. And he wrote that girl with giant titties that like that Krillin and I think Yamcha also, they all like hooked up with this one girl. Do you remember this?
Android 17 or someone else? Like, I think Krillin married.
No, it's a different girl. Yeah, he married Android 17, but before that, he had like a girlfriend that they were all like.
Bulma, right?
No. you got to go back and watch it. It's crazy. I got it on like one of my laptops, but yeah, man. He had a lot of weird like sexual humor in like throughout the show.
Yeah, Japanese tend to be a bit more lax with that kind of stuff. Lax. Right. Yeah, I think you're talking about Marin from his ex-girlfriend. Yeah,
Yes, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Dr. Slump? Dr. Slump or Dr. Slump?
No, but that whole android thing is very interesting, dude. Because the androids they kill, the guy who created them. That's the first thing they do. I mean, that's just an incredible thing. And then they had a movie where there's another doctor that invented a robot. You know, he was like trying to like destroy the world, and Goku had to fight this robot.
Yeah, Dr. Slump was also written by Akira Toriyama. That one has way more humor. It's about an android girl, Dr. Slump. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. I think they did a crossover episode, right, in Dragon Ball where there was both of the they had both of the shows together. Do you remember that?
Yeah, they did crossovers, with Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball, because Toriyama created both of them. I actually revisit Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z in the near future. I really like it. Yeah, it's a nice series. But yeah, I want to play more Dragon Quest though, because that one is nice. Dragon Quest V is probably the best one, and that's also illustrated by Toriyama. I'm not sure if he wrote it though, but yeah. It's like more medieval stuff, like fantasy and magic, kind of stuff.
Yeah, so let me see here what the deal is. And try to grab the material for my show.
Yeah, I think you should go get ready for your show. It's nice talking to you.
Yeah, blessings. All right, Neuro Jack. We'll have to step away here. Blessings to the people that are watching. And yeah, we'll be live on the Machine Lives in about 10 minutes. And if Neuro Jack does not come back, then this stream will naturally shut down in 10 minutes. So blessings to all the people.
Yeah, blessings to all the people. Yes.